Good. Good. So we would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. So before I call to order, I do have an acknowledgement of Charlottetown as a city of peace. This went through the Standing Committee for Strategic Priorities and Intergovernmental Cooperation. I recognize the commitment presented by the City of Peace supporters to promote peace as a consensus value in our community and acknowledge Charlottetown as a city of peace. As defined by the United Nations, a culture of peace is a set of values, attitudes, modes of behavior, and ways of life that reject violence and prevent conflicts by tackling their root causes to solve problems through dialogue and negotiation among individuals, groups, and nations. The City of Peace supporters will work with individuals, families, groups, and organizations to promote peace building and resolve and prevent conflict through dialogue and mediation. To further the goal of creating a culture of peace, the City of Peace supporters is linking the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to their actions. These goals include many initiatives that are already being addressed in our city and surrounding areas. At the same time, we recognize that there are many challenges too in several areas such as gender equality, good health and well-being, hunger, poverty, reduced inequality, and clean energy and environment. Charlottetown has a legacy of peace building through campaigns such as the Peace Begins at Home campaign, promoted by the Prince Edward Island Premier's Action Commission on Family Violence Prevention. In partnership and with support from the government, the City of Peace promoters will work innovatively, effectively, and efficiently to promote a culture of peace and inspire future generations to pursue greater levels of equality, safety, and prosperity. And I want to thank the chair of the committee, Councillor Ramsey, and Dr. Sylvie Roy for bringing this initiative to the forefront. So on the agenda, we have declarations of conflict of interest. Any declarations? Councillor Duran, can you just notify which one it is, please?
7 and 11. Can you turn on your mic so it's... Okay, it'd be 7 and 11. I have a conflict. One's my brother and one's my son-in-law.
And that's for the
planning, yeah.
Okay. Any other conflicts of interest? Okay. I have the agenda in front of us. Changes? Good. So, Councillor MacLeod, do you want to move the approval of the agenda? Councillor Ramsey, please raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay, unanimous. Okay, adoption of previous draft minutes. We have the regular monthly meeting June 13th, 2022, special meeting June 27th, 2022, and a public planning consultation meeting June 28th, 2022. Moved? You're going to move it?
I just have a couple questions on them.
Can you just bring it up under business arising from the minutes?
Sure.
Okay. So moved by Councillor MacLeod, second by Councillor Mike Duffy. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Unanimous. Okay. Business arising. Councillor Duran.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a couple of questions in regards to the special meeting on June 27th. I'm getting a couple of calls about the development on Palmer's Lane, and I've tried to tell, the person that called that, the city is involved in this because it's a low area there. We're doing some infrastructure work, and it's to help develop a piece of land there that could be used for housing. I know your words when we had the meeting, we put the infrastructure in. There's a possibility of a piece of land that could be developed. We're in a housing crisis now, and we're going to do everything we can do to put another house or housing development on the market. I just wanted to be clear on that one. And I also have a question, the same meeting, D, the financial review. I'm just wondering if any, I said I'd ask it, is there any auditor picked yet, or have we come close yet, or maybe our CAO could ask, or someone could ask or answer the question there about.
Okay. So on the final question, we'll answer that first. CAO Donna, do you want to answer that, please?
Sure, Your Worship. We have not as yet, though we're closing in. I'm hoping maybe by the end of this week to be able to make an announcement, Councillor.
That would be awesome. Just the second part of that question, in regards to our city auditor helping out in this, I'm just wondering, would we ever be able to have a legal opinion that if they should be involved in this in any way, shape, or form? There were some questions brought up 3 years ago, and I just don't think that we answered them in a timely manner, and I don't know if there's a conflict there. So I'm just asking, would there ever be a availability of getting a legal opinion? Then that way I could say, look, everything's on the up and up here. There's, the legal opinion states that there's no conflict. So I just wanted to raise that question.
Donna, could I just answer first? As you know, Councillor Durant, the province has the Auditor General's office. That office is responsible for looking at all the financial workings and operations of provincial government. Then you have the Federal Auditor General. These are departments within the federal and provincial structures. We hire a outside auditing firm to do our audit. So they have a code of ethics that they are obliged to follow. And I believe that they would follow them no different than the AG for the province or the AG for the federal. Donna, do you want to add anything to that, or maybe you had another view?
Not really, Your Worship, except to say that the auditors will be working with me to get the information and put it together in a timely and clean fashion, so that the external consultant will be able to review it to see that if it's accurate and in order. It would be very difficult to do the job without the assistance of the auditors, because they've audited the books. They know the answers to some of these questions and where to go to look for those answers.
Okay. I'm being asked all the time, right? It's like, well, what are you doing? I said, look, all I can do is ask, right? If it's above board on a legal opinion and says yes, the person or the business can do it, then there's nothing we can do. They're trying to help. And when I try to say that, I'm getting it back at me. Well, Bob, come on, don't be sucked into that. And I'm like, well, I mean, I know that the ethics board and all that stuff is there, but I just said I'll ask it to see where we can go with that. So, I'm thankful that you look into it.
Councillor Durant, excellent questions, and I know I've been getting that at the door, same questions. So, hey, look, you brought it up in this public forum, which is at the council chamber, and we're more than open, transparent to clarify those questions. Councillor McCabe and then Councillor Yankoff.
I think I was pretty much answered. I was looking for similar what Councillor Duran was looking for, just more clarification on the process of what's going to happen, because when we talk about an external review, I'm not sure either I'm not understanding or residents aren't understanding, but I believe that it is someone that's not directly working with the city that will be conducting this review, and I just wanted to have that on public record for clarification.
Donna, could you just assure that an answer?
Indeed, the materials will be prepared by myself and with the assistance of the auditors, and the review it'll be kind of like auditing the audit is what it'll be.
Councillor Yankoff.
Thank you.
Would you please stand up, please?
I thought we didn't stand with the mics.
Yeah, we're in the chamber.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if I'm hearing this correctly, again, just to make sure I'm understanding what is said, is there is, because I'm getting the same thing, lots of questions, and that this will be an independent review, and although the city is preparing, and the city auditors preparing what will need to be reviewed by an independent group, this independent group can ask and do whatever they deem needed to be done to give the city a clean bill of health. Is that correct?
That's correct, and that's a great way of putting it. They'll be able to go beyond the materials that we present and say, we think we've done it. Oh, well, this question has arisen. Could you get me this kind of material, this information?
Again, all great questions because it's clarifying some of the questions and concerns we're getting at the doors. Okay, any other business arising from the minutes? Okay, so we will go on to the first report, and Councillor Terry McLeod, Planning and Heritage.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. The Planning and Heritage Committee did not meet in July, so there's no report or minutes. The Planning Board met on July 4th. Copies of that are in your package along with the minutes. The Heritage Board met on June 27th. Copies of that report are there as well. And the Design Review Board did not meet in June. Therefore, I have no report for that. And the Affordable Housing Committee did not meet in June. Therefore, there are no reports. I have 11 resolutions to be put forward for consideration. And if you don't mind, Your Worship, I'd like to have everyone's attention brought to the number 9 resolution, the concept plan for Mount Everett Road. We had great discussion on this at the Planning Board, and one of the things that the board was wanting was to make sure that Parks and Rec approved the green space for this concept, and as of now, it hasn't been done yet. So we'll still vote on whether or not to go to a public consultation, but it just probably won't be this month. Okay, thank you very much, and any questions or concerns, I'll try to answer. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. So, Donnie, do you want to go to the first resolution, please? Oh,
Yes,
you're
Your
all
Worship.
mic'd up, Donna.
All mic'd up tonight, so I don't have to share with you. Moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the major variance request to permit an appointment-based personal service shop, hair and aesthetics, as a home occupation within a portion of the existing single detached dwelling located at 8 Browse Lane, PID number 42876, be approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, hours of operation Wednesday to Sunday from 11 to 6. 2, maximum number of clients permitted at any one time. 2, maximum number of clients appointments permitted per day. 6, employees permitted, 1 full-time employee, the owner resident of the existing main building. Number 5, maximum permitted size of shop, 218 square feet or 18% of the gross floor area of the existing main dwelling. Parking requirement, 3 on-site tandem parking spaces, at least 8.5 by 18 feet in size to serve home occupation and main dwelling. On-street parking is prohibited.
That's it? Do you have a question?
PID number 425876. Sorry.
Okay. Any questions? Questions called, please. If you're in favor, please put up your hand. No one against. 9-0. Councillor Twill absent. So 9-0.
Moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request for a mural to be painted on a portion of the existing building located at 64 King Street, PID number 335620, be approved, subject to 1, the mural painting confirming with the description and concept submitted to the Planning and Heritage Department by the applicant on June 13th, 2022, the applicant receiving an associated sign permit from the Planning and Heritage Department, the property owner working in partnership with Festival Inspire and the city's Economic Development, Tourism and Defense Department to ensure the mural does not become unsightly due to paint fading paint fading, chipping, tagging, etc.
Councillor Yankoff, question.
Thank you, Your Worship. More just a comment, this and the next two resolutions that you will see before you in terms of the murals coming to Charlottetown. I just wanted to point out that the mural on King Street, if you looked at the rendering drawings of it, you'll see a whole bunch of little round bubbles. And it's really interesting because that building was the original bottling plant. So the bubbles kind of come into play for that. So it was actually very creative of the artist. And I also just wanted to mention that the three muralists that are coming to PEI to do these three murals are also offering a professional development session for artists of PEI, and particularly Charlottetown, to give them some professional development around how perhaps in the future they could be putting up, designing and putting these murals on our buildings instead. So it's just a good news story.
No, it is.
Just wanted to share. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Yankoff. Questions called? All those in favor, please raise your hands. 9-0.
Moved by Councillor MacLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request for a mural to be painted on a portion of the existing building located at 151 Great George Street, PID number 342402, be approved, subject to, 1, the proposed mural painting conforming with the description and concept submitted to the Planning and Heritage Department by the applicant on June 13th, 2022. 2, the applicant receiving an associated sign permit from the Planning and Heritage Department. And 3, the property owner working in partnership with Festival Inspire and the city's Economic Development, Tourism and Events Department to ensure that the mural does not become unsightly due to paint fading, chipping and tagging, etc.
Questions called? All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0.
Moved by Councillor MacLeod, seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request for a mural to be painted on the west facade of the existing Fire Station Number 1 building located at 89 Kent Street, PID number 343558, be approved, subject to, 1, the proposed mural painting conforming with the description and concept submitted to the Planning and Heritage Department by the applicant on June 13th, 2022, with the mural color palette updated to incorporate fire engine red in accordance with the Art Advisory Board's recommendation. 2, the applicant receiving an associated sign permit from the Planning and Heritage Department. 3, the property owner working in partnership with Festival Inspire and the city's Economic Development, Tourism and Events Department to ensure that the mural does not become unsightly due to paint fading, chipping, tagging, etc.
Thank you, Donna.
Your
Question
Worship,
there,
that's
Councillor?
facing the Charlottetown Hotel, correct? That wall right there, is that what we're talking about? Is the one going down Kent Street?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Questions called? All those in favor? Did you have a question? Okay. 9-0.
Moved by Councillor MacLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to amend the existing Development Concept Plan, Development Agreement and Appendix B, Comprehensive Development Area, CDA, parcels and permitted uses, in order to construct a 5,000 square foot addition with revised terms and conditions for the expansion of the existing retail area as it pertains to the property located at 15 St. Dunstan Street, PID number 1075993, be approved.
Questions called? All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0. Donna?
Planning number 6, moved by Councillor MacLeod, seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to amend Appendix G, zoning map of the Zoning and Development Bylaw from low-density R2 zone to the institutional I zone, and amend Appendix A, future land use map of the official plan from low-density residential to institutional for 93 Belvedere Avenue and PID number 373092 and 95 Belvedere Avenue, PID number 373100, be approved to move to public consultation.
Yep. No, Councillor Yankoff.
Maybe I'm getting my projects mixed up, but is this not the one we were waiting for the additional information to know what the plan was for the use of this land, or is that the next one?
Thank you very
Councillor
much.
McLeod.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you very much for your question. No, I believe we did receive the email that the land was being brought in to conform with the rest of the university and that it was going to be remain green space. I'm pretty sure we got that. Yeah. The 2 properties on Belvedere Avenue.
Just to follow up? So if it's staying as green space, why then would we rezone it as institutional? Because once it's zoned institutional, that's what it's going to be
Yep.
for
Well,
ever.
it's zoned, they're zoned R1 now, and there's only the 1 home left, right? And the university, before they can do anything with it, it has to be zoned to suit what they needed to suit, right? But they have no intentions for the land right now. It's just they bought those 2 properties and the 3rd person will sell someday, hopefully, or whatever, it suits, and then it'll be incorporated into either parking space or something to help the university. Yeah.
I guess my point is that we are going to, I know it's only public consultation for now, but once this is zoned institutional, there's a long list of things that you can do with an institutional.
Yep.
And once it's zoned, it's zoned. There's no going back.
Right.
So I just wanted to make that clear.
That's why the university bought it. It's the university. The University of Prince Edward Island is institutional. The whole property is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but the
it's-
zoning of institutional can be, you know, it can be a lot of different things
Yeah.
if they ever chose to sell it, is all I'm
There's
just
also-
pointing it out. I
there's
mean,
also a
I'm
tax-
supporting moving to public consultation, I just wanted to bring that attention forward.
Councillor McLeod?
Good, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate your concern, as we all would. But this is a piece of property that over the years has, there's not much R1 left, right? It's just this 1 house left and the 1 house that is left. If it was in the middle of another area, then we'd really be concerned and we'd all be saying, what are we doing that for? But in this particular case, it's the last 3 parcels that are left that is on the university kind of side of the road, right? So it'd be pretty hard to do anything else with the land, for me or you to do anything with, because there wouldn't be sufficient parking, there wouldn't, to put a business in there, so they want it to be green space, and they're trying to clean up that corner there where our new building is being put there, so. But I do understand what you're saying. When it does become institutional, we could be putting in tattoo shops and everything else. But I think it's pretty clear that the university, it would have to match, and they might shine a light on a little more on what they're going to do at the public meeting as well. So, anyway, that's all I can answer at this time. Thank you.
Good point. Question? All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0.
Moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to amend Appendix G zoning map of the zoning and development bylaw from single-family detached residential small R1S to single detached residential narrow R1N to permit the subdivision of 46 lots for single detached dwellings on the remaining portion of land in Sandalwood subdivision, an extension of Much Crescent, PID number 773051, be rejected.
Councillor, I got Councillor McCabe and I have Councillor, are you going to get, Councillor McCabe, do you want to speak to it also? Councillor Yankoff, do you want to speak to it also? Okay. I'm going to ask Councillor from Ward 7, please.
I feel like I'm too tall for this, but thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor McLeod, for the information in the package. Firstly, I just want to say, I just want to apologize to council and the residents in the area that I missed the meeting that evening. I know there was a few upset. We did have a family emergency, and I am committed, as anyone knows, to council. I'm committed to my neighborhood, but I'll always put family first.
Yeah.
But still, I do want to say I apologize to everybody. But on to the topic at hand. I can certainly appreciate what developers are doing around town, trying to kind of offer different housing types throughout the city to kind of meet housing needs. But in this particular area, I take a little bit of concern, as the residents do, with respect to the amount of changes that have happened or applications that have come through. You know, this whole thing was designed for R1 housing. And then there was along the years, there was different applications put in for different uses that, you know, concerned the residents greatly. And, you know, it just seemed that they were fighting to keep the neighborhood the way it was, what they invested and bought into. It wasn't that long ago where, you know, and I think in the planning package, it talks about if housing options are not available within the neighborhood, sometimes people are forced to leave the neighborhood to seek appropriate housing. But again, they did that because they came with an application for duplexes, for 10 duplexes in that area, and the public, they were okay with it after, you know, understanding what it was. It was a side road off the main entrance, and they were okay with it. You know, we're back here again looking at another rezoning, and the residents are concerned. They bought homes knowing the surrounding zoning. They're wanting predictability with respect to the biggest purchase they can make in a lifetime. All of us, our biggest purchase that we make in a lifetime. And they're simply saying that just enough's enough. We invested in this property knowing that behind us is going to be R1 and not narrow lots, and they're just asking that we maintain that. They've made concessions. They've worked with the developer in the past, and the residents are concerned. They just want it to be built the way that they were showing, and I tend to agree.
Councillor McCabe and then Councillor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Councillor Rivard. I kind of tend to concur with your statement, and as much as I appreciated the developer trying to be flexible during the public meeting around putting in active transportation or sidewalks or whatever is required, which you all know I believe needs to be part of any kind of subdivision plan moving forward. But when we hear the residents and we look at the shortcomings that have been identified by staff, residents having concerns to increase the area, the subdivision's been 75% developed. They're comfortable with the 29 lots. They're not comfortable with the 46 lots. That's what they expected, so I will not be supporting this application tonight.
Councillor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't probably have a lot to add now that I've just heard Councillor Rivard and Councillor McCabe, but I did want to just reiterate that I would be supporting the Planning Committee's recommendation to reject this. And although, as Councillor McCabe had said as well, that, you know, it was nice to see that the developer was looking at some options to work with the residents, but the bottom line is the residents are looking at a subdivision that they're 75% completed, and it was not something that was, the expectation of having the additional lots versus the 29 that are as of right was not under their impression as they began to build their families and live there in a harmonious way. So I will be supporting the resolution to reject the extension of the additional lots. Thank you.
Councillor Rivard, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. The one thing I forgot to mention when I was doing my apology too is that before leaving to Saskatoon, the day after the public meeting, I did meet with the residents on site. So I did listen to, I think there was 25 to 30 that showed up, probably near the same number as the public meeting. And like I said, I felt bad. They totally understood the circumstances. And so I heard, like I said, I heard their concerns firsthand, not only on YouTube, but on the street. So, yeah, thank you.
Councillor MacLeod, Chair of the Committee.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your comments and questions, and also just to support Councillor Rivard there. He did call me the day of the meeting to say that he had met with the residents, and what he followed up again with what we heard, with what our concerns were. So just to appreciate the communication there with Councillor Rivard. Thank you very much.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, usually when I see that the staff has supported an application and it's been turned down by planning board, my antennas kind of go up because we have a very good staff. They're very well educated, very well trained. They know their work inside out and upside down. So I tend to look for what's the problem, what have the residents found that our staff didn't, or sometimes it's vice versa. But I'm concerned on page C6, where we get down into kind of the weeds and look at what the issues were for the residents that caused them to be against this development. I first of all see that 14 letters were received as part of the public notification process. This is a fairly big subdivision, and to receive 14 letters, maybe in a 20-lot subdivision, that would be extensive, but for 14 letters in this large outfit certainly would not be a groundswell. It's not as though they're going to march at City Hall. It also says at the public meeting held on January the 28th, residents raised concerns about speeding. That's a police issue, not a planning issue. Additional single detached dwelling lots would increase traffic. Our manager of the Public Works Department, Mr. Adams, has his master's in engineering, and his thesis was done on traffic in residential areas. He has offered an opinion where I will get to a little later on down the list. Residents were also opposed to the proposed location of the park green space. Well, the park green space is going to join the school property where a lot of athletic and playground equipment, I think, would be there, with the city green space. So it's going to be a larger green space than anticipated when the three plots of land are utilized. It is of this, and here we are with it is of the city's engineer's opinion that 17 additional single detached dwellings are not sufficient to compromise the traffic volume on the street. There it is right there, the guy that is an expert in the area. And the parkland, of course, could serve as a connector from the subdivision to the school lands. The staff recommendation approved the request to rezone to our R1N. I also would just like to add, which is not in our binder, is the fact that I heard at the night of the public meeting, these parents kept saying, well, our kids will be in danger because they're out there on the street. And I'm saying, parents have to understand, children are to be in playgrounds or on their own property. Pedestrians are to be on sidewalks, and vehicles are to be on streets, not children playing. And you see it all the time. Basketball nets pointing out to the center of the street, and young children playing basketball and cars coming and going. That's not the place for children. So if your children are playing on the street, you should have a little talk with them and get them into the playground or onto your own property or a friend's property. That's just about it, Your Worship. So as you can tell, I will not be supporting this recommendation or this application. Thank you, Your Worship.
Well, I know down in King Square, we played street hockey in the street. Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just thank you, Councillor Duffy, for your comments, but I would just like to just make a quick point, is that while the letters that came in, some of the concerns from the residents were indeed around traffic and some of the things that you're saying, you know, myself, Councillor McCabe, Councillor Yankoff, who spoke against it this evening, you know, we didn't bring up any of those because, you know, it is in the report, and we understand that, you know, traffic is going to be slightly increased. Still a concern to the residents, but slightly increased, and that's why I'm not arguing. What I'm arguing here is predictability. I'm talking about people's investments and what people have bought into in the community, how they have adapted already to the subdivision changing in a certain aspect to allow for further housing types for those people who are looking to move from the big houses into the duplexes, which, you know, were really kind of geared for, I'll say, at the time, was kind of more for seniors, and indeed it worked because a lot of the people that lived in the neighborhood did actually move into these units, which was fantastic. It did exactly what it was intended to do. So we're not arguing the traffic, not arguing the safety piece, even though absolutely they have those valid concerns. Again, the point is predictability. It's the fact, again, they invested in something knowing what was going to be behind them, and that's the reason why I'm opposed to it. That's the biggest concern the residents have. Thank you.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Rivard. I imagine the bulk of our work over in the planning department has to do with changes made to the official plan, and that's what we're talking about here. We have 44 square kilometers of land in the city of Charlottetown. You can't expect 11 elected officials to sit around for 2 or 3 years. Actually, that's when the plan we have, the official plan, was, it started in 95 and we signed it off in 99, I believe. It took 4 years. You can't expect the 11 elected officials to get it right the first time. There's always a revamping. That's why we have variances, minor and major. That's why we have rezonings. That's why we have all these changes being made. It's a large piece of land, and you don't know what is down the road for the next 5 or 10 years. So there's always changes. That's the nature of Mr. Forbes's business over there, I would say. And therefore, we do it all the time, so I don't see this being any different. That because of the things that I outlined earlier, they are opinions. They're not based in fact, and they've been argued, by people in the know, being our staff people. So, sure, it's going to be an additional 14. Affordable housing, we're always up against affordable housing. These are going to be affordable. They're $1,400, according to the gentleman the other night at the public meeting. I can't see 14 structures being, that bad. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, Councillor McLeod, Councillor Yankoff, Councillor Rivard, Deputy Mayor Cody, Councillor Bernard, Councillor McCabe, and Councillor Ramsey. Yay. Those against? Councillor Duffy against. 8-1. Donna?
Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to amend the Development Concept Plan and Appendix B, Comprehensive Development Area, CDA, parcels and permitted uses pertaining to 50 Cumberland Street, PID number 6793H1, for the construction of a new industrial equipment building and the demolition of the existing steam plant be approved to proceed to public consultation.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Councillor Drawn? Thank you. Correction, it was 7-1 in the last vote. Thanks for doing the math there, Mr. Forbes. Could you please read the resolution over, please? Councillor Durant, welcome back. So we're just rereading the resolution for the next...
Planning number 8. That moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to amend the Development Concept Plan and Appendix B, Comprehensive Development Area, CDA parcels and permitted uses pertaining to 50 Cumberland Street, PID number 679381, for the construction of a new industrial equipment building and the demolition of the existing steam plant be approved to proceed to public consultation.
Questions called. All in favor, please raise your hand. That's 9-0.
Planning number 9.
Is that, what one is that?
It was 7 and 11, I think. This is...
Okay, go ahead.
Moved by Councillor McCabe and seconded by moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to amend Appendix B, Comprehensive Development Area, parcels and permitted uses, and approval of a development concept plan pertaining to 257 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390674, 261 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390682, 265 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390708, 269 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390757, and parcel PID number 390690. Amend Appendix A, future land use map of the official plan from low-density residential to comprehensive planning area and Appendix G zoning map of the zoning and development bylaw from low-density residential single R2S zone to comprehensive development area zone for portions of the properties at 257 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390674. 261 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390682. 265 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390708. 269 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390757, and parcel number PID number 390690. And consolidate properties at 257 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390674, 261 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390682, 265 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390708, 269 Mount Edward Road, PID number 390757, and parcel PID number 390690 be approved to proceed to public consultation, and that the public meeting be scheduled only after the Parks and Recreation Department accept the proposed parkland dedication location.
Okay, Councillor Rivard?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor McLeod again. I read through the package here just quickly again, and I don't see anything in here about a design review. Will there be a design review as part of this application? And if not, why?
Do you want to yield to? Okay. Is your mic
you-
on there? Is it on? Okay.
Your Worship, this is in an area of the city that design review is not typically a requirement. Design review is required in the 500 lot area, and it's required for affordable housing projects. So that's, unless council deems that they feel that's in their interest, it is a CDA zone, but it's not a requirement presently in the bylaw.
Okay. Go ahead again, sir.
Sorry, so
Yeah.
there's none of this is affordable housing?
That,
And is that the difference as to anything else in the area that's gone through the same process? Is it the affordable housing piece?
It would be, again, I mean, it's not my file, but if it's 100% affordable housing projects, it would be required to go for the design review component. The properties to the north, which was St. Dunstan's, if you'll recall, it went to design review, and the only reason it went to design review is that when they came in at the time, they just wanted to get the land zoned, but they didn't have a proposal to show. So in this case, it's my understanding for the public meeting, they'll be coming forward and showing those proposed designs that they have for those buildings. So and the only reason that it was dealt with a design review to the north of the property on the St. Dunstan's Church property was they came in and they just had a site plan, and they said that they typically on a CDA you show the design that you're proposing as it's moving forward at the public hearing. Thank you, Your Worship.
Is that all right, Councillor? Yeah. Okay. Councillor McCabe? Sorry, Councillor Yankoff.
I take that as a
I got
compliment.
Councillor McCabe in the mind.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, and I will ask the chair, which perhaps then we will ask Mr. Forbes, but I'm remembering other projects that were not in the 500 lot that we did design review. And I recall Sherwood Crossing. We had to do a design review a couple of times on that one, and that's not in the 500 lot. And I don't recall that being affordable housing. So I'm just a bit confused about that. And I'm pretty sure in planning, we asked if there was going to be an affordable housing component to this project we're speaking of now, and we didn't have an answer to that. We didn't know what they were doing. So I just wondered if we could get that clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Forbes?
So, again, in regard to the Sherwood Crossing was a part of the CDA, similar to this one, and you, as a part of your proposal, you show the public what you're offering, What happened in that case, it didn't go to a formal review, doesn't go to the design review committee, but what happened in that one, he changed his proposal that was embedded in his development agreement. That's why that one was somewhat sensitive. It wasn't related to the design review. Again, in light of the the question on affordability, I will look into that, and part of the public hearing, I'll get back to council in regard to what is the component in those various buildings. Is it just a small component, if any component, of affordability, and whether it would trigger the design review requirement? Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor McLeod, did we do a design review for the new UPEI student residence? No? Greg, Councillor Rivera, I think we did. Could we
Pretty
just,
sure we did design
could
review
we
for
just
the
look that
UPI
up?
residents.
Yeah, and again, Your Worship, council can, council, as a part of a rezoning, can ask for that. I mean, in the case of the university, that was a 9-story building. That was one of the largest buildings in the city. They're asking for that approval for a fairly significant building. And I don't have my records, but I assume that council would have said, well, look, we'd like that to go through that review process to make sure that they get that building right. So there are some, clearly, the council has asked for. They were in a sensitive area. They weren't explicitly laid out in the zoning bylaw as triggering a design review, but there have been some. The property over here on Chestnut Street, that went through, it's outside of the 500 lot area, but council asked at the time, and the developer agreed to go through a design review. So sometimes the developer's willing to go through it, sometimes council asks for it, but it's just a matter of what is the trigger. There is no trigger on this one, but it's up to council.
Councillor McCabe, Councillor Yankoff, again about the design review, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just would like to maybe make a note that could be in our minutes that I think we need some consistency for the sake of residents, developers, and council, that when it comes to design review, I really think we need some consistency on that, because I think we're all mentioning examples of sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, and it just kind of goes back to that idea of, you can't be a little bit pregnant, like it's either one way or the other. So anyhow, no disrespect to my pregnancy comment.
Noted. Well noted. Thank you. Questions called. Okay. All those in favor to go to public consultation, please raise your hand. Oh, it has to go through Parks and Recreation. Yeah, it's at the. Okay, go ahead. Turn on your mic.
Could I ask for a friendly amendment to
Sure.
our resolution?
Go ahead.
Perhaps not only before it goes to consultation, we get some clarification around design review.
Donna, does that require an amendment, or can that be just passed on to our planning department?
I don't think you'd need an amendment to it. I think you would just ask the department that you wanted to clarify on design review.
I could do that for you folks.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, just to clarify the motion, so Councillor McLeod, can you just clarify what we're doing, just
So
quickly?
Okay, so what
No.
what the resolution says is to approve to proceed to a public consultation, and that the public meeting be scheduled only after Parks and Rec Department accept the proposed parkland dedication location.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Questions
it
called.
won't be this month.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, 9-0.
Moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe that the proposed amendment to the zoning and development bylaw, PHZD 2, in relation to permitting pool covers to replace fence requirements be approved to proceed to public consultation. I forgot about pool covers.
Okay. Councillor
Thank you, Your Worship.
Bernard.
Thank you to the planning committee. It's been a long time in coming. We've talked about this a few times. But thank you, and especially to Councillor Yankoff and Councillor McCabe. I know you guys have really pushed this in the last month, helped me trying to get this over the line. I know some of the clients have been waiting for a long time for an answer on this. So, Your Worship, I see it's to proceed to a public consultation. Do we have any dates for some of these public consultation meetings that we've been passing tonight? Do we have any dates on that?
Donna, do you have, I think we'll be meeting all summer by the number of meetings that are coming up.
We don't have any set up yet, Your Worship. That,
And are we going to group a bunch of them together?
as many as we can.
Okay.
thank
Better
you.
get a big room. Okay, 9-0. Okay, Councillor Twill, absent. Councillor Duran is removing himself from the room.
Moved by Councillor MacLeod, seconded by Councillor McCabe, that the request to reconsider the approval of a preliminary plan of subdivision for a 90-lot subdivision of semi-detached dwellings at 339 Malpeck Road, Hidden Valley subdivision, be denied.
Deputy Mayor Cody, you have a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Councillor Clapp, for bringing this forward. My first question, I guess, just looking at the traffic study here, and I know it was completed on June 8th, which was a Wednesday. Do they typically just pick one random day to conduct a traffic study? It just seems a little light to me. I thought maybe it'd be a little bit more intense, be there a little bit longer than one day.
I'm not 100%, unless, Alex, you've been talking to the traffic engineer, but they usually do more than one day. They usually do a couple different times, but I'll let Alex answer if he knows for sure.
Mr. Forbes.
Your Worship, again, I'm not a traffic engineer, but they do have a methodology in regard to the time, they're looking for certain times of the day over a period of time. So, again, the developer, they know pretty well from their counters in regard to what they're picking up on different days, that the range of traffic that's being generated in the neighborhood. Was a very credible traffic engineer, so he's not like a younger engineer. He's been around a long time. He would have done multiple studies of this nature. So again, I'm not a traffic engineer, but I assume that his methodology was very sound.
Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you. I guess I'm just trying to focus on the traffic study, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around when they say there's, if there was 140 single-family homes, as opposed to 280 single-family homes that are attached, so half and half, the only difference would be 36 round trips through the subdivision, but 140 homes, they'd be leaving to go to school and go to work, but if you had 280 single-family homes that are attached, they'd be going to work and going to school at different times. It's not just one unit where the house would leave at the same time. So I'm just a little confused, I guess, as to that low number of traffic patterns when you're comparing attached homes, single-family homes, to detached single-family homes. And I guess, Your Worship, just when I'm on my feet, and as council would know, this didn't come to council. I'm just wondering, when they say there's 2 exit points out of this subdivision, that is correct. One is coming onto Lower Malpeck Road, which is the main artery coming into the city, and it's very difficult to get in and out of that subdivision, as anyone that would know that would travel that way. The other way that the traffic report said you could get in and out is off Athol onto Melody Lane. But Melody Lane, the only way to get off Melody Lane is through Lower Malpeck Road or Malpeck Road. So, to say it's easy to get onto Melody Lane, I don't think anyone would argue with that. It's getting off Melody Lane onto Malpeck Road or Lower Malpeck Road, depending on what way you want to go. It's kind of a shame, I guess, for the residents because, they don't have a problem with the development. It's a great addition to the community. It's the traffic. And to alleviate the traffic concern, you could just ask the province if you could have access onto Malpeck Road, which is Route 2. And I know in the report it said it wouldn't, and I know that there's been meetings and conversations, which I certainly appreciate, Councilor MacLeod, but it would solve a lot of problems. And just driving through our neighboring communities, Stratford, Cornwall, I do know they have access onto, say, the Trans-Canada Highway or whatever their main artery is. So I'm not understanding why, I feel like there's almost two sets of rules when it comes to this development within the city and development outside the city, because they seem to be able to access the Trans-Canada Road. So just my food for thought. I don't know if you have an answer for the scenario that's in here with the 140 homes as opposed to the 280. I'm having a hard time with that math.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chair.
thank you very much for your question, Councillor Cody. So I did ask that question to the traffic engineer, and he said that was, even though the way the print is, it was considered, the volume of traffic, that there would be more than just 180 homes, but that's how it's worded. With the access, I know our traffic engineer and manager of public works, he's been talking to the government quite a bit, and I think the threshold was, as the volume of traffic increases, the province would there be a greater increase for them to do that, and I think we're not too far from that. Like I know the MLA is also pushing hard, I believe. As the traffic has increased in your area tremendously, I think the subdivision will probably, I would think, push the government to do just that. I am hearing favorable conversations. So I can't confirm it 100%, but I'm hearing good things. Thank you.
Councillor Yankoff, Councillor Rivard, then you. Councillor Rivard had his hand up first. Councillor Rivard.
Ladies first.
Thank you.
Honourable member.
Councillor Rivard. Whether this reconsideration is denied or not denied from council tonight, could we not stop the conversation tonight and ensure that we continue these discussions with the province to ensure that this is not dealt with? Because it is something that's very important to not only the residents, but it should be important to the province as well. So I just want to make sure that we don't stop the discussions in order to, so thank you.
Good point. And Councillor McLeod, and then
Yeah.
Councillor Rivard.
The manager of public works and our transportation are all in one. Like I told Councillor Cody here, thank you very much for your question. But we are continuing that conversation. I think it would bring harmony to everyone involved, and he's not taking it lightly, and he's pushing for the same thing that we're talking about here this evening. So, hopefully in the coming days and weeks, we'll hear a little bit of information coming out of that. That's good news. Thank you.
Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, thank you, Councillor McLeod. Again, the residents have, I can certainly understand their concern. That's a lot of homes and a lot of traffic being filtered through their existing neighborhood. And again, the traffic study says that it's okay. And again, I'm a little confused as to, the reconsideration itself, because as Councillor Cody just mentioned, that everyone seems to be okay with the zoning, the housing type, but really the reconsideration, I guess I'm a little confused on what the reconsideration really is asking. The end of the day is that this really falls in the hands of the province. And we need, as a council, to really push and send a letter on behalf of council, if that's council's wish, to say, this is unacceptable. We see what happened in Stratford, so it does happen, and there's no reason why it can't happen here for the residents. So we should be pushing for that, especially when the developer or the residents are okay with the development itself and the zoning and everything else. We should really be pushing hard for them to do something on that stretch of highway.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rivard. I agree with you 100%, and I'm sure between Alex and Mr. Adams and the mayor, we could probably draft something up there, and the deputy CEO, or acting CEO, to do just that. As far as the reconsideration goes, I'll let Alex explain it if you'd like on why we are where we are. But there is a threshold of so this was as of right, within the city of Charlottetown. So the reconsideration has to be something outside of what would be the normal everyday planning activity. So, so it did go through that threshold, and Alex will certainly explain that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask Councillor Rivard, follow up, Councillor Rivard?
Yeah, I understand the process. I guess I'm just trying to understand what we're actually reconsidering, because again, the decision, it really wasn't a decision of council. And really, it wasn't a decision of planning staff. I mean, at the end of the day, the zoning was right. So I'm not sure what we're reconsidering. Totally understand the concerns of the residents, and I'm on board with their concerns to find a solution onto the highway, but I'm just not sure what we're reconsidering.
Councillor Rivard, do you want to answer that?
Well, I'm just going to say, just recently here, a planning staff had put forward a reconsideration, some food and thought into that, and your words are exactly as to why they did put that forward. It's the fact that everything in this project follows suit within the bylaws of the city of Charlottetown. So there's not much to reconsider. If there was something else, then maybe it would meet the threshold of a reconsideration. But in this case, the city and the planning staff have done everything that they were supposed to do. And unfortunately, the access on the Malpeque Road is a provincial matter, and we all agree that we should draft a letter and follow up with Mr. Adams' comments with the government to make sure that this gets followed through with, and that the safety of the concerned residents gets looked after. Thank you.
Can I ask, Mr. Forbes raised his hand. Forbes? Yes.
So, Your Worship, subdivision in the bylaw is basically like a building permit. It's as of right, as long as you meet conditions. We process them, and we do up agreements for the applicant of the subdivision. In this case, the residents were concerned of the volume of traffic without a second access, and they had a lot of statements, 2 pages of statements, in regard to the impact on their subdivision. The traffic report, identified the fact that that subdivision was not going to be overwhelmed by this traffic, and then there was the discussion about this access to Malpeque Road. So the province is aware, and they've been thinking for some time, as to where that access will be to Malpeque Road. It's in a future subdivision where that will likely occur, which will loop back into the connectivity on this subdivision. So it is it's a minor arterial highway, and the province is very concerned about every time they interface with that highway, it slows traffic down. So they want to ensure where those points are very strategic. They don't get too many of those points onto the arterial highway, because all traffic slows when you make those connections, but they do have a location where they're looking at that they would like to have that future connection, but it's not a part of this subdivision. That connectivity will possibly make it out to the Malpeque Road, and this subdivision would have access to that through future subdivisions. I'm trying to think of my direction here. The remaining land that's available below the subdivision. Right. Yep.
Councillor Rivard, did you want to follow up quickly?
Yeah, last question, Your Worship. Looking at the plan moving forward, maybe I don't have the full plan, but I guess if we're talking about a potential future access onto Lower Malpeque Road, onto the highway, Winslow Road, is there a spot within the subdivision that they're leaving open for the potential access? I mean, I'm looking at the lots here, and if all those lots are sold, then it's going to kind of close the door to any future possibility onto the highway. So I would hope that the developers are talking to the province. City is going to push, but as long as there's an access for the potential, because if not, then kind of a moot point.
Yeah. No, it's what happened with McWilliams Road, with the subdivision coming off Horseshoe Boulevard. There's a house that's now blocking the potential or a future T section. Alex, I've been over to Stratford. It's a $5.5 million project, and it's as the deputy said, it's going onto the Trans-Canada Highway, and it's the Corey group or the Gray group. So the Gray group is looking at 50 million plus. This development out here, what's the estimated value right now? Would it be 40 million with the number of homes?
Yeah, look, I'm not certain, Your Worship, but just for clarity, it's not this subdivision where the province wants connectivity. There's another location. They've been thinking about that for some time. Everything in traffic engineering deals with the term warrants. It's numbers. When numbers hit a certain threshold, they trigger, that things have to happen to take that pressure off of that traffic. So, In this case, I think it's hard to say, the way the development's going in the city, that the subdivision filled up fairly quickly, that that future connection may happen sooner than later. I don't think it hurts from the council members' suggestion that they should be putting that onto their schedule in regard to making sure that that road work happens. It's not only to help this subdivision, it's to help the subdivisions across the street as well that are dumping out onto that arterial highway. So it's that roundabout is to handle traffic on both sides of the Malpeque Road. And that's where they want the strategic connection. My last comment would be, depending on what you do with this evening, this is still under appeal at IRAC. They still have that opportunity, if they so desire, to go to IRAC and have this further adjudicated. But again, it's a fairly straightforward application. I know traffic engineering. Traffic engineering is math, and they use the Transportation Association of Canada manual, and all of those predictors in regard to land uses is all in that. It's kind of the traffic engineer's Bible, and they use it, and that's the predictor of the traffic generated and what should happen depending on if too much traffic is generated. But in this case, they felt that the subdivision was adequately serviced by connections, and then in the longer term, everyone should likely benefit from that future connection to the Malpeque Road. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay. Question?
No.
Questions called?
No,
Oh, good.
just looking really for clarity. So this future connection that you talked about, Alex, that the province is contemplating, and they're looking for the traffic counts to get up a little bit higher to trigger it. I'm not clear, is this going to help this particular subdivision in the future?
So,
Because it sounds like there's a bit of a disconnect when I hear that, well, are they allowing the access to be able to get onto this future connection?
yeah, it's not necessarily a disconnect. So the way subdivisions move, you've got two constraints. You get two roadways, and you can either go to the Malpeque or to the lower Malpeque, and they're like slices that are going through these road networks, and you have to always provide connectivity to the future subdivision you're going to connect to. So this subdivision will have future connections laid out as part of this subdivision to the future subdivision. It will be the future subdivision that makes that connection to the Malpeque Road. And everyone, all of those slices of subdivisions will then have another opportunity. They can either go to Malpeque Road, they can go to the lower Malpeque Road, or there's some other internal streets there. So these things usually sort themselves out in the fullness of time, but I guess what you should be focusing on this evening is that particular subdivision. The province, in my opinion, was not going to allow an access from this subdivision to the Malpeque Road. But they're eyeing this other opportunity, and it's to deal with, again, traffic on the other side of the Malpeque Road that's also funneling onto that arterial roadway. So when you're putting a lot of traffic out onto those roadways from subdivisions, it's dangerous, and that's why you either need lights or you need a traffic circle, and it's just not you just can't typically just have like an access without any kind of signalization or a roundabout. It's for safety purposes.
Follow-up question?
So follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to, I guess for me, we have the city approving subdivisions, and we have the province is looking at their arterial road. Is there anybody talking to each other? They're saying they would like to put a future connector here, but do we know to tell our people that are developing the subdivisions that that's a future connection and to be prepared for it? Because just what Councilor Rivera just said, if you go and sell those lots and you build on them, you lose that opportunity for that
But
connection.
just be
So
clear.
I'm just wondering, between the city
Right.
and the province, do we have that communication?
Right. It will be the future subdivision that will be required through the province, through these discussions that we're having, and, the province, if you can elevate that, capital works project for them, the minute that they decide that, that they want that connection, the next subdivision will have to provide that as a part of their subdivision, and it will be weaving back through all of these subdivisions, including the one that we're dealing with this evening, and all the adjacent subdivisions. So it's providing, it's an internal road work through all of these subdivisions and back out onto the Malpeque Road. So there's the sequencing, there's nothing wrong with the sequencing as it's moving forward this evening. The subdivision in question can more than handle the traffic that's moving through it. It's not dissimilar from the subdivisions that were approved adjacent to it. But in the long run, everyone will benefit from that future connection to the Malpeque Road. And I hate commenting on other people's decision-making, but I think that would likely be a roundabout. At a minimum, it would have to be a signalized intersection.
Yeah.
Because you will then be funneling a lot of traffic out onto a very busy street or roadway, and it has to be done safely.
So, Councillor Bernard, we will ask our CAO, Donna Waddell, to reach out to Transportation Minister, Scott Adams, our Chief Engineer, yourself, and others to get together with the province to find out what the future plan is. Because that section of Malpeque Road belongs to the province, so it's up to them what they do with it. Anyways, I think that would be something we want to do regardless of how we go tonight. Councillor Verd.
Sorry, last question. So, Alex, thank you for that. And again, I know we talk about the future subdivision being the one responsible and how it benefits everybody. But again, I'm going to go back to my question. If there's no access point off this subdivision that we're talking about right now, which is the concern, that can be used in the future in the event that then this subdivision will never reap the benefits of what we're referring to, which is the roundabout or the access point onto this road. So I guess.
So I don't have a map. You have a subdivision, and you have a subdivision.
Yeah.
You have the Malpeque Road and the Lower Malpeque Road, and they're accessing primarily the Lower Malpeque Road. They're traversing back and forth through each other's subdivision. So then what will happen, I don't know exactly the phasing, but then you'll get another subdivision, could be two, and then it's going to hit that point where the province has the ideal location for that roundabout.
Yeah.
They have clearly indicated they do not want any access from this subdivision to the Malpeque Road.
But in the future, this subdivision could feed into that.
Correct. I mean,
Yeah.
you have these internal road networks that's connecting all of these subdivisions internally.
Okay. Access. Turn on your mic.
No, and the province has clearly indicated they don't want. Yes.
Turn on your mic,
Right,
Councillor.
yeah. All subdivisions have to, every subdivision, when you approve it, you have to leave those connections in place to, for the future developer, you can't landlock him from his future development
Right.
potential. So those road connections are left in place, the same as they were, the road connections for this subdivision from the adjacent one were left in place from 20 years ago. So they logically flow along, and that connectivity is made at the time of subdivision.
Yeah.
Okay, Your Worship, sorry, just so.
Is this the last question?
Last question.
Okay.
Based on the drawings, going back to what Councilor Bernard just said, there is no property that is left vacant for the potential for future access. So for all intents and purposes, we're saying that no matter what roundabout goes in at a later date, it's not going to help what the concerns are here. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing, and that's what I'm wondering, if the developer keeps a spot open with the potential in the future for that connectivity that we talk about, or is this one just closed, shut, case, done?
Yeah.
No, it's, we're talking to.
Yeah.
They do not, province does not want a connection from this subdivision to the Malpeque Road. But all the connections are going to be left for it to link up to the adjacent subdivision where that linkage is going to come in
Yeah.
from the Malpeque Road, and then everybody gets to benefit from that future
Yeah.
long-term connection to the Malpeque Road, because they're all internal networks that go from subdivision to subdivision to subdivision.
Yeah, and the developers that own this project, they're doing this project, I believe they have bought land on the east side too. So there's a lot of proposed projected development for the area. Okay, so it's the reconsideration we're voting on. Do we have a question on the floor? Questions on, go. Okay, all those in favor of the resolution to deny the reconsideration, please put up your hand. Okay, I have Councillors McLeod, Yankoff, Rivard, Ramsey, Councillor Duffy, Councillor McCabe, yea or nay? Okay, yea. Okay, all those against? Okay, it's 7 to 1. Mr. Forbes, 7 to 1.
Okay. Your Worship, my colleague, Mr. Adams, is behind me. If I said anything incorrect regarding the traffic engineering, he can clarify.
He can bring it up in his public works report.
Right.
Move, this is your, an amendment to the official plan, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor MacLeod, seconded by Councillor McCabe. To adopt bylaw PH-CD.2-062, a bylaw to amend the zoning and development bylaw by amending the existing development concept plan, development agreement, and Appendix B, comprehensive development area, CDA parcels, and permitted uses in order to construct a 5,000 square foot addition with the revised terms and conditions for the expansion of the existing retail area as it pertains to the property located at 15 St. Dunstan Street, PID number 1075993. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Shall carry? Okay.
And Your Worship, this is a reading of a second reading of a development bylaw. Moved by Councillor MacLeod and seconded by Councillor McCabe. To adopt bylaw PHZ-ZD.2-061, a bylaw to amend the zoning and development bylaw, to amend sections of the zoning and development bylaw PHZ-D.2 pertaining to sections 3.3, sections 5.9, section 8.1, section 35, section 47.2, section 48.3, Appendix A and Appendix F.
Shall it pass? Pass. Okay, there it is.
It's the end of the planning, Your Worship.
So Donna, could you please follow up on the discussion that was discussed here about the Hidden Valley? Thank you. And we'll follow. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
And we may be calling on you too. Okay. So I believe, are you the next report?
And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report, Councillor MacLeod. You got two big portfolios here. Oh, there's Chief Engineer, he's here. You're in for this one too? Okay. So do you want to present your report? Public Works? Questions? Councillor Julie McCabe.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. My goodness. I think I heard my name a lot tonight. Thank you, Councillor MacLeod, for your report. I noticed in the minutes there was some discussion around the street access bylaw and street cleaning, watering down the dirt and having some challenges through your department to enforce that bylaw. So I've understood that that bylaw is switching over now and it's going to go under police. Is that correct? Or how do we plan to work on maintaining streets cleanliness as well as, watering down dirt during the dusty period for residents who are there? And I have a follow-up question after that.
Thank you, Your Worship. So currently, the street access bylaw falls under the Emergency Services Committee, so police. The recommendation that will be coming forward from police would be that bylaw be updated. There's an updated version that was done with the assistance of our legal team, just because it's been dated, and then it would be adopted as Public Works. And we are, as you noted, the cleaning the street, we will be making an addition to the proposed new bylaw to include a street cleaning section. Our legal team just got back some wording to me last week while I was on holidays. So we'll be looking at sending that back to police to just review and bring that forward to council at a future meeting.
Thank you, Scott. And I also want to thank you for providing the tables with the updates of projects and stuff from your department. It's nice to be able to kind of follow and see where things are and to be kept abreast of that. I'm just wondering, I noticed the multi-purpose trails are still, TBD, TBD, TBD. Do we have any more update on when we might see some of those
So the
being
goal-
started?
Certainly, Your Worship. So the goal is to have the tender documents and drawings this month for public tendering and for a fall construction time is what we're aiming for at this moment.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay, you got the first resolution there, Donna?
Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor Mike Duffy, that the following resolution approved on June 13th, 2022 be rescinded. That as per the conditions of the RFQ for traffic control signs and posts, the submission of Martech Signalization, Inc. for all street signs, the amount of $110,032.80, plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that the amount of RAFAC Agencies Limited for all posts in the amount of $46,694,000 plus all applicable taxes be accepted. And further, that the submission of Mallard's Forestry Equipment, Inc. for all post hardware in the amount of $4,551 plus all applicable taxes be accepted.
Okay. Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Oh,
Your
sorry.
Worship, may I make a comment?
Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Donna, for reading out the resolution. Scott, I had missed our Public Works meeting, so just, is there any concern on using 3 different companies? We all hear today about, the troubles of ordering, getting stuff in time. So having 3 different companies where one company has it, all the work would get done. Is there any concern that's going to cause more delays or problems with our projects?
Your Worship, so this is our typical standard order to a stockpile or have a stock of signage for winter months and post and all that, as well as replace a large chunk of it that we have some missing road street names. So no, by awarding to 3, we did touch base with each one of them and said they were low in their own category. We want to make sure that that if we awarded in that one category, it wasn't contingent on one of the other 2 categories, or the other 3, sorry. So no, everyone was in agreement, was okay with that approach. And again, we thought it was the fair because it was the best value for the city, as well as it spread the award around to 3 different companies with the bid.
Thank you.
Councillor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to clarify, resolution number 1 for Public Works, we're rescinding because of a typo on the 2 amounts, and then we're actually doing, number 2 is the actual resolution, is that correct? I
Donna?
just didn't
Yes,
hear
yeah.
that part of it in there.
Yes, Your Worship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Questions called. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0.
Moved by Councillor McLeod and seconded by Councillor Duffy, that as per the condition of the RFQ for traffic control signs and posts, the submission of Martech Signalization, Inc. for all street signs in the amount of $111,032.80, plus all applicable taxes be accepted, that the submission of RAFAC Agencies Limited for all posts in the amount of $45,994, plus all applicable taxes be accepted, and that the submission of Mallard's Forestry Equipment, Inc. for all post hardware in the amount of $4,551, plus all applicable taxes be accepted.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0. Is that it there, Councillor McLeod? You have a comment?
Yeah, please, thank you very much. So I had spoke to Donna today,
CAO?
Donna CAO, Waddell. So frustrating with, as Chair of Public Works, even in my own ward, and it's of course, it's all the city, but our projects are slowing down simply because of a number of reasons. COVID is still affecting companies, supply and demand. And then of course, there's projects that we announce, and then of course, for whatever reason, there's, God forsaken, there's so many, but causes delay. And I see the problem is communication. So I asked Donna, and I just wanted to make sure everybody in the room heard this. So I'm asking Donna, is there a way that we can create, because we don't have a policy, is there some way that we can create a policy where we can communicate with the public a little more? First announcing the project, and that could be, each department can be responsible to make sure they go to the communications department to say, here's the details, we need a PSA out on this, go on the website, blah, 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 it's a 7-week project, we're using this, we're tearing that. And then, if there's an issue, which we're having because of circumstances beyond our control, that we can then send out a message to that particular neighborhood to say, this is what's happening. You know, like, I'm sure we're all getting the calls, but I'll get a call, like, they dug that same hole every day this week. What's going on? Is it a make work project or what? You know, so, because that's what you assume, because you just see the same thing happen. But, you know, as it turned out, it was water testing, right? They had to go down, get another sample, cover it up. Go down, get another sample, cover it up. So to the person that didn't know, it looked pretty. So we just need, so when this comes across our desk, I would hope we'd support it, that we need, you know, whether, I don't know about, you know, that's not my job to worry about how big our communications is or whatever, but I think all the departments need to share in it and get this message out to our residents, because it's frustrating. Our residents are very frustrated with different projects just simply because they're not in the know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McLeod. I'm sure we'll follow that up with our comms people, our comms department. Mr. Adams, you're all good? No, I had a question. Oh, got a question, another question before we go.
Thank you. Actually, I'll go through the chair. I'm just wondering, by the way, thanks for the update on the projects. I'm just wondering, on the Hillsborough Park, the elevator that's going to be installed, do you see that being completed this year?
Yes, I do, but I'll let Mr. Adams finish that one.
So, Your Worship, so as of right now, that RFP for the design package went up to finance as of today. So we're hoping to get that out very quickly for design and tender documents. And then we will tender it as quickly as we can get it out and see what the results and prices are. That will be the deciding factor at the end of the day.
Okay, because we know the 92,000 here is not going to be enough to put an elevator in. No.
Yeah, well, I guess originally that budget was done back in last fall when we, I think,
Okay.
when our staff assumed that we could use a different type of lift. But now meeting with the various users of the center, it was the absolute best option for zero barrier is an elevator shaft. And so that's what we will design to. And then again, through the design process, we'll be able to get an estimated budget, bring that to committee, and determine direction of what we want to go when we get
All
that.
right. No, thank you. And my other question was the same question with Harts Hall.
That
We're
are-
wanting to move that away from the St.
Correct.
Peters Road?
So that RFQ is again up with finance as of today. The first phase is to.
Today was quite a day.
It was a very busy day, first day back from vacation, so a lot to get off their plate today. So again, yes, that's up to finance now for their review and get it out to posting. We're asking for a two-phase approach. The first phase is to build the foundation and move it. And then we would like to look at some improvements. The building has a few, window issues and heating. We want to look at designing some upgrade or doing some retrofit as part of a phase 2 for that project as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, Your Worship.
One question or?
Councillor Twill's not here, so I thought I'd ask a lot of questions. Thank you. Yes, Scott, great report. Love reading this every month. Beach Grove Road culvert. It says June 22nd start.
Yes, okay, I apologize. So I don't have the update from my staff as today, so I can follow up. He's back in tomorrow. They had a kickoff meeting last week to discuss the project. Last I was told is the first phase, which is a pressure relief valve on the water line to tie into the water line that's on Capitol Drive to service the area, is the first phase. That's a couple weeks, and that is supposed to start sometime second last week of July was the last update. Again, I'll have a better update tomorrow when I hear back from staff, when they're back in the office, so I can provide a clearer update tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for that box culvert. It's been sitting in the yard for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, Good. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next report is Economic Development, Tourism, Events Management. Councillor Julie McCabe.
Yes.
There comes the team.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Economic Development, Tourism, and Event Management Committee met on June the 20th. The Arts Advisory Board met on June 28th. The minutes are included in your package. I don't have any resolutions for your consideration this evening, but I'll provide you with a short update. Staff recently participated in business attraction sessions with both Invest in Canada and Innovation PEI. They are also participating in the renewal of the city's parking strategy with Public Works. A shout out and thank you to URSA for their amazing efforts in launching the Return of the Diverse City Multicultural Festival, which took place in our city on June 26th. The Capital City Canada Day celebration, I think we need to show our appreciation and thanks to our staff. They did a lot of work. We were able to get back to Victoria Park this year. There was over 30,000 people who attended between the day and night. Special thank you to them for all their work, as well as all departments across the city who were a part of making this a huge success. The city will welcome national judges with Communities in Bloom on Thursday and Friday of this week. So again, excited to be part of the Communities in Bloom evaluation process. The city has also recently hosted the Event Atlantic Board and Government Partner Summit. Congratulations to our very own Charlotte Nicholson, who was recently elected to the Event Atlantic Board. And nominations are currently being accepted to participate as a torchbearer in the Canada Games Torch Relay. So staff is encouraging residents to nominate someone for the Charlottetown leg of the relay, as the nominations will close on July 15th. Any questions? I'll do my best to answer. Thank you.
Councillor Verd. Councillor Yankoff. She's got it. It's green. You're green. You're green to go.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. I just wanted to give a big shout out to Charlotte Nicholson and Laurel Lee for the amazing work that they and the rest of the staff did on Canada Day. It's been a long time since we really had a Canada Day, and they had the ability to not only respect the past, but embrace our future, and it was a really amazing balance, and just kudos to you and the team, so thank you.
I want to echo the same sentiments because I attended the day in the morning. I think we started, at 1 o'clock? And then I went back in the evening. The fireworks were the most spectacular I ever saw. It was, and Councillor Duffy was down there with Phyllis. Just unbelievable. And a couple of volunteers said to me that they would not be here if Wayne Long and Laura Lee and the team were not part of it, because they felt everything was so organized, which it was. Everything went just like clockwork. The field just next to the dairy bar was full of kids all day, all night, so well done. And the Diversity Festival the week before, unbelievable. People saw, like Charlottetonians saw just how diverse and multicultural Charlottetown is. It's unbelievable, and kudos to all the organizers and especially our staff, so thank you very much. Councillor Bernard.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I agree. It was a heck of a Canada Day, for sure. I think a lot of people were pretty excited to get back at regular routine. I'm just wondering, you made a comment about the beautification judges arriving and getting ready to be judged. I'm just wondering, between beautification and your department, do we have someone in charge that's going around before the judges arrive to make sure the grass is cut, there's no graffiti, stuff like that, that the judges are judging our city on?
I believe that, I know Public Works has been involved in some of this, kind of making sure things are good, but I will let Laurel, maybe if you could speak to that.
Yes, Your Worship. So Charlotte Nicholson in our area is leading that. So she's been in communication with all departments. She also has the itinerary for the actual judge's visit queued up, and she met with all departments today to make sure that everyone who's presenting or has a role to play knows what they're doing.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. It was a great month, so thank you, Wayne, Laurel, Charlotte, and the staff. Okay. Environment and sustainability. Who's the vice chair? Oh, okay. Could I just do one thing first? I just want to welcome Jessica, you probably want to do it too. Jessica Grill Corkum is our acting manager, and I want to welcome her to the position. She's been doing a great job as our nature conservationist, so welcome and all the best. Councillor.
Thank you so much. Very excited.
Turn your mic on. Mic on there.
How's that? And as you know, Your Worship, Councillor Tweedle doesn't miss too many meetings, so he's obviously not feeling good. So we'll do the report for him. The committee met on June the 20th, and the Mayor's Task Force on Active Transportation met June 21st. The minutes are in your package. There is, Your Worship, one resolution for council consideration. Just a couple of highlights. I'll talk about the monthly transit ridership for June. Was, Your Worship, was 68,850 compared to June 2021, where the ridership was 42,000. So it's an increase of 63% year over year, Your Worship. So monthly ridership for free transit rides for preschool and K-12 for June 2022 was 6,609. Compared to 2019 Mondays to Friday ridership was up 38%, Saturday 41%, Sundays 22%. The year-to-date ridership is 324,805 compared to in 2021 where it was 734. So the other thing on the transit, Your Worship, is that the City of Charlottetown completed the T3 High School Transit Project. You remember that? Of the students surveyed, 26% said that they never used transit before the program. So that obviously got a lot of new kids into the transit program and seeing how it works. So, Your Worship, I'll do my best to answer any questions. And like I say, there is one resolution for council consideration.
Any questions? Okay, Donna, can you read the resolution, please? Thank you. You're all mic'd up there.
Moved by Councillor Bernard and seconded by Councillor McCabe. That council supports staff in completing an application for a $40,000 grant from the Federation of Canadian Municipal Asset Management Program. That the City of Charlottetown commits to conducting the following activities in its proposed project to advance its natural asset management program: data collection and analysis, conditions and needs assessment, risk assessments, updating the municipal natural asset inventory. And further, that the City of Charlottetown's $10,000 contribution be expensed from the Environment and Sustainability's 2022-2023 operational budget.
Okay. Questions called? Good. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0. Okay, just 1 second. Councillor Tweedle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jessica.
Absent. Okay. Next report is strategic priorities. Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on Thursday, June 23rd, and then we met again on the 29th of June. The minutes are in your package. The Youth Advisory Committee met June 16th, and the draft minutes are also in your package. I have two resolutions for your consideration, and we have a first reading of the City of Charlottetown election bylaws. If we have any questions, we can fire away. Thank you.
Any questions under his report? Councillor Bernard.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple of things, Your Worship, I just want to make clear. Seen on the news, I think it was last week, where they were reporting that the elections PEI representative, the chief electoral officer, had a meeting with the committee. I guess they were reporting it was city council, but I guess it was the committee. Doesn't sound like he was very well greeted, but anyway, I think he made it quite clear that under the Municipal Government Act and the election regulations state where mobile poll locations should be located. We can't be telling them where polls go. That's their job. The City of Charlottetown's own bylaw reflects the wording, but the city does not adhere to the list of proposed mobile poll locations found in Schedule 2 of the bylaw. Now, unless the city wants to run their own election, We should be following the laws and the bylaws. And that's what this gentleman, the chief electoral officer, is trying to do. So he made it very clear in the letter he sent to everybody. The process is being proposed by the city of Charlottetown is not in compliance with the act and is open to manipulation by those who have a vested interest in the outcome of the election. It's a fact. So he said time to reflect on this meeting and the city's position, and it's not the city's position. It was the committee's position. That's why it's here now. Elections PEI will not be the municipal elections officer for the 2022 elections if the city of Charlottetown decides to proceed on its current course and work outside of the MGA election regulations. So, Your Worship, it's pretty clear that they have rules to follow, we have rules to follow. We don't tell them where polls go and where they shouldn't go and should go. So I will be moving an amendment.
Can you wait for the resolution?
When
To
the
come up?
resolution comes, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be looking to move the
Yeah.
amendment so we can get this put through so
Yeah,
they can run their election.
yeah.
properly. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I was at that meeting, as you know, Councilor Bernard, and I think what we were talking about was ensuring that our seniors have the availability and accessibility to vote. If you look at the data from the 2018 election, the bell curve shows that the vast majority of voters runs between 55 and 94. So that was the context of the discussion. And if there was anything different with that, Councillor Ramsey, please chime in. But again, it was a meeting I thought was going very well, but the follow-up letter is what surprised us. And I know our CAO will be sending a response to his letter with our reaction. Councillor.
Thank you for that, Your Worship, and Councillor Bernard too. Yes, and we invited him in because there was 4 polling stations that were there in 2018 where they're seniors, they're all seniors. And our only question, well, my only question was, why are they being moved? Because as we all know, who has senior homes in their properties or their wards, some of them do not go outside of that senior home. So this was so convenient for them all along, even at 2018, to walk down the hallway from their apartment, to put an X by someone's name, and go back to their apartment. So that was my main question to him. How he thought the things went off the rails, I'm not going to speak for him. But that was our question. Why are these polls not going to be in the same place that they were in 2018? And he thought we were attacking him. We were asking him questions, which I think as a city council that pays this man to do our elections, we're allowed to ask questions. And I'm not getting in any argument with him, right? Because I'm in full agreement that we follow the bylaws and election PEI runs this election, because I know the city does not want to run it. Yeah. And to say it's there to favor certain people, like he was out of line with that. Thank you.
Councillor Bernard,
Well,
follow
you know
up.
what, that's fine. I guess all I'm saying is, I wasn't at the meeting.
No.
So I don't know how the man was treated. We all got the email. He doesn't feel like he was treated very good. But that's aside. You're asking, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. No, that's right. But you know what? The rules are the rules. Exactly. The guidelines are the guidelines. And we don't dictate, yeah, I want my poll here, I want the poll there. They do. And that's, to me, was clear. They're dictating where the polls go, or run your own election. And to see this, that in tonight's binder, that we don't still want to follow that. No, not according to what's in the binder. No, you're going to appendix 2, you're going to leave out. So.
There's, as Councillor McCabe has said before, these recommendations come up from the standing committees, whether they're in favor or against, and we vote on it. So that's why the resolution's in front of us. Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do sit on the committee, but unfortunately I wasn't there for that meeting either. But I'll kind of echo what Councillor Bernard is saying here, is that the rules are the rules, right? The MGA states this is the way it's going to be done. If we want election PEI to run this, again, Terry just said this, sorry, Councillor Bernard, then we abide by the rules. Like, pretty simple, period. It's end of conversation. And I certainly don't think the city of Charlottetown wants to run the election. I think we should just follow what the MGA says and move forward.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Ramsey.
And I agree 100%. And I talked with our CAO on that after a meeting too. As you know, I was chairing it, but I did not have a vote. But we put it to a vote, like to bring it to council. We accepted the to amend the bylaws of the election, but the vote went for the other ones, for section 2, I believe.
Yeah.
Mrs. Waddell?
Schedule 2.
Yeah.
Schedule 2.
But if it's gonna go to a vote, like I'm in favor, and I think we're all in favor of having Alexis PEI run this election.
Yeah.
Now, they know they're not gonna change section 2. I'd be very surprised if he does.
Yeah.
But as I stated earlier there, Councilman Heritage, is that we're looking at ways to easier for seniors to
Yeah.
vote. Where they always voted, and now all of a sudden, they're not allowed to vote there in those places. And that was our only question, I guess.
And Councillor Duran, you were part of the meeting. Did you get a sense of that we were, throwing objects around the room? I didn't get that. Can you just, can you?
No, it just kind of, I guess when he described the MGA, and yourself and Councillor Tweel and Councillor Ramsey, you all wanted more polls, more availability for the seniors. That was the main thing. That, I'm sitting back watching this. I never thought, what went off the rails or anything bad about it. I did write him and I said, you're great at your job. You do great work. But in the meeting, we just wanted more polls. And I guess what he's saying, there's specific areas now. So, I thought it was a good meeting and there was a lot of debate back and forth. I didn't think there was any very bad arguments or anything like that. I was surprised by his letter, but then again, he might have, took things wrongly or and we were all, I thought it was a meeting to give, suggestions and I think, he took it one way. We were trying to do other things. I wasn't involved in the discussion much, but, I thought it was a good meeting. Just the underlying factor was to get more polls for the seniors. And that's what we wanted to do. We weren't picking and choosing, but, after reading his letter, he was adamant that this is the way it has to go. So, I didn't think it was a bad thing, but, I guess we're just two groups with two different thought processes there. So, thank you.
Okay, Donnie, do you want to read the, oh, sorry, Councillor Duffy.
So at the end of the day, your worship, is this thing here, does this reflect what Mr. Garrity wants that's in our package?
No, it does not. It reflects keeping those polls open, but Councillor Bernard is forwarding an amendment
Yes.
to the motion to agree with elections PEI.
But a person reading this wouldn't.
You have to go through the whole bylaw.
It's the reading paper, Counselor Duffy, not the
Oh,
resolution,
okay,
it's the
all
reading
right.
paper.
Okay, and as far as Councillor Duran was just saying there, and Councillor Ramsey was talking on the same theme, was about getting as many seniors out as possible to vote. I agree with that, but I don't agree that it should be the people that are running in the election. That should be handled by Mr. Garrity.
But Councillor Duffy, I don't think that came out.
Pardon?
I don't think that came in. Did that come out in the, it didn't come out in the conversation. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, I thought Councillor Duran just said that, that's what you thought, did you, that you were just, your committee was just voicing your opinion that you want more seniors out and voting,
No, we just wanted more polls.
which will get more seniors out and voting. Exactly, okay. But I think that would be Mr. Garrity's job to get people out to the polls. I'm not sure on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just shut down.
Yeah, no, look, it was, to me, it was a good conversation. And I think
How are
what
we
we,
gonna, so,
do you want
are we
to
voting?
I'll just finish it up.
have to read the resolution? Get the resolution then?
Just a comment to finish it up, Your Worship. I'm just going to, it's very clear here where it's healthcare facilities and nursing homes. So, it's great that we want to put them in all the seniors' homes. I have a number of them in my area that are all senior-friendly apartments too. But that's why they're tasked with that job of where they should go. So, thank you.
I mean, our point was though, Terry, and I hope you're getting it, is just that these polls were there, even in the 2018 election, and now they're not there. So that was the only point, like that was the main question. Why are they there from, let's say, 1962 to this year, and then now they're not there? I mean, he couldn't answer that. So,
Oh, yeah, it's,
MGA, I
yeah,
guess, yeah.
Municipal Government Act, yeah. Former government. Okay. Donnie, do you want to read it, and then he will propose an amendment?
No, Your Worship.
No?
The first resolution
Yes.
is to rescind a resolution that you passed on May 9th because it was incorrectly titled. So we're going to rescind this resolution and then hopefully you'll pass the next one. And then when we get to the reading papers of the amendments of the bylaw, that's when we'll get the amendments.
You're good, Donna.
Well, this has been complicated, Your Worship. Very complicated. Moved by Councillor Ramsay and seconded by Councillor Duran that the following resolution approved by Council on May 9th, 2022 be rescinded as the proper title of the electoral officers for the City of Charlottetown municipal election was depicted incorrectly. That the City of Charlottetown appoint Elections PEI to oversee and run the City of Charlottetown municipal elections for November 7th, 2022, and that Tim Garrity be appointed as the Chief Electoral Officer and Stephanie Thorpe as the Deputy Electoral Officer for this upcoming election.
Questions called. All those in favor, raise your hand, please. This is just to rescind, okay? 9-0. Go ahead.
Moved by Councillor Ramsay and seconded by Councillor Bob Duran. That the City of Charlottetown appoint Elections PEI to oversee and run the City of Charlottetown municipal election, November 7th, 2022, and that Tim Garrity be appointed as the Municipal Electoral Officer and Stephanie Thorpe be appointed as the Deputy Municipal Electoral Officer for this upcoming election.
Questions called. All in favor, please raise your hand. No, this is just appoint the electoral officer. Yep. Councillor Tweel absent. Okay, go ahead.
This is the first reading to amend the election bylaw. Amend the City of Charlottetown's election bylaw 2018-08 as attached to be consistent and compliant with the PEI Municipal Government Act election regulations. Resolved the bylaw to amend the City of Charlottetown election bylaw be read a first time. Moved by Councillor Kevin Ramsay, seconded by Councillor Bob Duran.
Okay. Councillor Bernard, you're going to amend.
Do you have something?
Add an amendment to the motion, Your Worship, to remove from that Champion Court,
Yep.
Duvar Court, Charlotte Court, Mayfield Simmons Citizens, Spring Park Court, Sherwood Home.
Sherwood Home closed, yeah.
But we still have to.
Yeah, okay, good, good.
This is to comply with the regulations set out in the election bylaw, Your Worship, so
So have you added that?
that's what the election.
Your Worship, I have to read this little blurb here. Have you got a seconder, Councillor Bernard?
Seconder?
Have seconder?
Okay, do you want to read the?
So Part 11, Schedule 2, Locations of Mobile Polling Stations of the City of Charlottetown Election Bylaw is hereby amended by the following. 15.1, remove the following independent, senior-friendly homes as mobile polls. Champion Court, Duvar Court, Charlotte Court, Merrifield Senior Citizens, Spring Park Court, and the Sherwood Home.
And that's to comply with the regulations.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
I
dropped everything on the floor.
So next up is, shall it carry? Is that what you're asking, Donna?
The amended bylaw carry, Your Worship.
Okay, shall it carry? Want to go get it second time? I know it's.
This is complicated. Resolved that the bylaw, no. This one?
Yeah, this one.
Okay. Resolved that the bylaw now be approved as a city bylaw and that it be entitled the City of Charlottetown Election Bylaw and that it be read a second time at the next public meeting of council. Moved by Councillor Ramsay and seconded by Councillor Duran.
Shall it pass? Pass. Good? Okay, so that's 9-0. Okay, hold on. 9-0. 9-0. Councillor Tweel. Absent. absent. Okay. Next report, Councilor Ramsey, thank you very much. Next report, Finance, Audit, and Tendering. Deputy Mayor Cody.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our committee met. There's a report in your package. There's one resolution for council to consider. And if there's any questions or comments, I'll do my best to try and answer them.
Okay.
Moved by Councillor Cody and seconded by Councillor Rivard, that the following resolution of August 23rd, 2021 be rescinded, that the City of Charlottetown accept Enterprise Fleet Management proposal, and that 30 days' notice be given to Enterprise Fleet Management to terminate the contract.
Okay, Councillor Bernard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Wow. Where do you start? So the Finance Committee, which has a role in overseeing the city's finances, come up with a recommendation to rescind Enterprise Fleet Management Service Agreement, which this year just saved the city taxpayers over $260,000 on vehicle purchases when compared to the same tender specs as pricing from 1 year earlier. We got that, right? $260,000 from the first order we did. If you read your package, and I mean, they put a good package together, you'll see in 2021, the city went out to tender for 13 vehicles, 11 half-ton 4x4 crew cab trucks, one 4x4 2500 series, and one 3500 series. Summerside Chrysler Dodge won the tender, and the city paid $64,930 each for the half-ton crew cabs. That's $241,000. I'm sorry, no, it's more than that. So this gives us a baseline. The $64,930 is what we would have paid last year for the tender that out 2021. This year, through the Enterprise Fleet Management Program, which, by the way, came through us, through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, the program that we used for 2022 for the 11 4x4 crew cab trucks, the city paid $49,822 for each truck, with a difference of $15,108 per truck. That's a total of $241,000 right there, just from the tender from 2021 to 2022. Now, for the 4x4 2500 series, the city paid in 2021 $72,185, but through the Enterprise Fleet Program, the same vehicle was $50,336 for a savings of $22,000 for one vehicle, which takes the savings up to over $260,000 to taxpayers, because it is the taxpayers' money they're spending. Now, I can tell you, I can think of a lot of places for $260,000 to go, and that's the first order we did for 2022. So, and we went through this 7 or 8 times, and you know what? I can understand if a councilor's not really sure of the program, doesn't quite understand how the program works, but in this case, excuse me, we've had the finance manager explaining the program and telling us it's a great deal, great value for the city of Charlottetown. And she's here again tonight. I'm sure she'll still reiterate you recommend the program. Then we have the city's controller, who's telling us the same thing. It's a good value. It's a good return on the investment for the city. He does the books for the city of Charlottetown. Then we have our fleet manager recommending the city stay with this program, that it's a good value, good return, and the public works manager saying the same thing. Should stay with this program. It's a good deal for the city of Charlottetown. We asked our finance committee and we asked our public works committee to review this program when FPEIM took to us. They've done that, and they've come back highly recommending it. So you know what, when I read through the binder and I see where there was a 2-2 tie, the chair, Councillor Cody, was called to break the tie, and I have to ask why you as chair of the committee, whose responsibility it is to make the best decision possible for the residents and the taxpayers of the city, or actually any of us, not just the chair, but any of us. Why would you ignore the advice of your finance manager, the city controller, the fleet manager, the public works manager, and vote to veto this program? I've never seen, and I've been here 22 years, and I've never experienced such strong recommendations from so many managers on one topic, and yet have the potential that it's just going to be ignored. I guess some elected officials think they know better, I guess. So it begs the question, depending how you vote, who are you really representing? Because that's what it comes down to. Who are you really representing? Because this is the first time we've used it. It's shown over $260,000 in savings. The vehicles still come through local. The vehicles still get serviced like they always did. Well, you know what? There's times I've sat home and I wondered, what am I missing? What am I missing? And I don't think I'm missing a thing. So, Your Worship, I'll be voting to continue with the program because I think the program is good. And if there is any questions, instead of just abandoning it, I don't know why you don't, you know, you want to go next year, go through the tender process, go through it. Then go through enterprise fleet, compare the prices. But I've talked to the managers, I've talked to the controller, I've talked to the fleet manager, I've talked to the public works manager, and I don't see any negativity. So anyway, Your Worship, this is about the 8th time we've dealt with it, and the last time I speak on it. Thank you.
Councillor Duffy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, I concur with everything that Councillor Bernard has said. Like, I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. We have staff here in basically, I think, 4 different departments: Public Works, Water and Sewer, what other ones that we get vehicles for? Parks and Recreation, and is there a 4th one? Maybe not a 4th one. But the senior management in all of those departments, they're highly educated. They're at their master's level. They all concur that this is the greatest program they've had to get vehicles for their various departments. And I just don't understand, and they don't understand either. And they're really down in the mouth because they're saying, man, they worked hard on this project, and it's going to be railroaded off the tracks, and it's just a crying shame. I mean, especially when you realize that there's a 30-day bailout clause for no reason. We can, at any time, if we don't like what's going on, we bail out at 30, and so can they, with no cause. But like, if it was my household that I was representing and going through this, I'd take it quick. Terms of reference. What is not understood, and I'm a member of the Finance Committee, what is not understood by some of the people on finance is that they don't have the say for all the operational departments. That's their say, Public Works or Water and Sewer or Parks and Recreation. They're the experts in this area. They live it day in, day out. Like I said before, they're highly educated, they have experience, they're well-trained, but 3 people, and with all due respect to my colleagues on finance, and none of them gave a rationale. There was some people that did speak, but there wasn't a rationale for the way they wanted to go. But those people, there's one is a real estate agent, there's another retired school teacher, and there's one that works in convenience store retail. Like, they're calling the shot after our staff that's so well informed, so educated, so interested, and so experienced. They have come together as a group and have, well, Councillor Bernard and I at a minimum, and I think others in the room would just thank them for doing it. It's just unbelievable. The terms of reference themselves, the Public Works terms of reference name the Public Works Committee as the guardians of the fleet management issue, and also the purchase of equipment and other goods for Public Works and the beautification program. So And getting back to the role of finance, the role of the finance committee is to ensure that when an issue comes to the finance committee, they're not to make that operational decision of what we should do and what we should not do. They're supposed to do the financial administration checklist. Is there an account for this particular activity? Is the money in the account? Is there enough money in the account? Are commitments accounted for? It's not, the expertise for this thing is over in the operational committees. But unfortunately, the three people that, I'm just astounded. The $261,000, our first order, $261,000 in savings. I mean, good luck on November the 7th or previous to November 7th, going door to door to explain this. It's terrible. Thank you, Richard. And by the way, Your Worship, just one more thing. As earlier in this meeting, when we had the discussion about Much Crescent or whatever, and I noticed that the staff had recommended one way to go, and council had decided, or our planning board had decided to go the other way. That sets up a situation where some council members are against the staff recommendation.
Okay, let him speak, please. Let him
It's
speak.
in this council chamber, because I'm going to read you something right now, Councilor McCabe. Members of council have a this is out of the Code of Conduct. Members of council have a responsibility to make informed decisions in accordance with the Act, and that's the MGA, the Act, and be prepared in council meetings to bring forth the reasoning and rationale of their vote. In other words, if our staff has said this is a good deal, we recommend that you go forward with it. If there's councilors in this council chamber tonight that are going to vote counter to what the staff is saying, this is talking to you. This paragraph is talking to you. And it says, and I repeat, informed decisions have to be in accordance with the Act, the Municipal Government Act. So you have to be able to tell us you're voting against what the staff has recommended, and under what part of the Municipal Government Act are you quoting or using as your basis of rationale or reasoning for casting your vote as you did. That's what the Code of Conduct says. And guess what? If you can't do that, and you still stand your ground, you're probably going to get a charge of breach of the Code of Conduct against you. Thank you.
No. I know this. I know this was brought up before, but Councillor Yankoff had her hand up. Councillor Yankoff, please.
You're not going by the...
Oh, you know what, Councillor Durant, I didn't see your light on.
Well, I mean, it's right on the screen there.
No,
I mean,
well,
you go right ahead, Landon. No, I'm just wondering why you can't see the screen.
Yeah, it's not working. It's not working well. But anyways,
Okay.
can we go? And you're next, Councillor Durant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy for you to
No, go
go.
right ahead. No?
You did have the
That's
music.
fine, that's fine. I'm good with it.
Thank you, Your Worship, and others that have spoken on this topic. And I've only been in council for a short amount of time, but I can't give you the exact examples of when this happened. But I do know that there have been other times that the Finance Committee has gone against staff recommendations, and at times they have had their reasons and rationale, and council has supported committee's recommendations in those situations. So I would ask our Chair of Finance if he could speak to the way they got to the decision they have to recommend to council that we do not go with staff recommendation, and we do decide to exit from the fleet management contract. Thank you.
Could we put that on hold? I want Councillor Durand to ask a question. If that's okay, Deputy? Is that all right? Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Durand.
And thank you, Deputy Mayor Cody. I mean, you know, I appreciate your wisdom and honesty, and you're looking into this stuff. You know, I had concerns as well when our legal team has questions, and that's why I can't support this, and I'll be supporting the resolution here tonight. I thank you for looking into that. you know, whether a person has an MBA or a degree or diploma like most of us, it doesn't matter. You're elected to represent the citizens to the best of your ability. And if you think something's wrong, or you feel in your heart it's wrong, or maybe legally it wasn't done properly, then I give you credit for standing up and let's start the process again. There's a lot of times it's talk here that we're saving money here, we're saving money there. You know, you can't go down through every resolution that we've ever done in 3 or 4 years and say, well, did we make the right decision? You know, you're making it with the best information that you have, the knowledge that you have, and your concerns that you bring to the table. So again, I commend the committee. I commend Deputy Mayor Cody for breaking the tie and doing what he thinks is right, and I'll certainly support his resolution here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Deputy, do you want to respond?
Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Duran, can you just
Yes,
turn off your mic, please?
Start off by saying I don't think the Finance Committee looks to railroad anything or have the final say. We were asked to take it back to our committee, start it in Public Works, take it back to our committee, and start the process over again because you didn't follow the process the first time. So that's what we did. Our job from the Finance Committee is to make a recommendation to Council. And that's what we did. Everyone's right. We talked about it 8 or 9 times. Everyone has different views on it. The report, finally, completely, is in the package with all the information instead of piecemeal as we got it to start this process. So, you know, to insinuate finance is calling the shots or finance is, we're just doing what we were asked to do. Like I say, you didn't follow the process. It came back to us. There's a recommendation here. If you don't like the recommendation, then vote against it.
And then Councillor McCabe. Thank you, Councillor Yankoff.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Cody, for your clarification. I will be supporting the Finance Committee's recommendation to start the process again. So thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe.
I want to say that I believe I do my best all the time to follow process, and underlying kind of condescending comments around that bothers me. So I want that said on public, but I believe that I've been supporting and consistent from the onset, and I will be staying where I've been since the onset. Thank you.
Councillor Duffy, you have your mic on there, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Having said all that, folks, maybe this is the time then when it says members of council have a responsibility to make informed decisions in accordance with the Act and be prepared in council meetings, which this is, to bring forth the reasoning and rationale of their vote. And I'd ask that of the 3 members of the Finance Committee. Nobody's told me what the reason and rationale is. That they didn't tell us, Your Worship, and you were there last Wednesday, July the 6th. They didn't tell us there was no reasoning or rationale for the 3 voting the way they did. So maybe this is the time. Thank you, Your Worship.
Put your mic on. And then Councillor Yankoff. Are you up next? Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship. You know, and thank you, Councillor Bernard, for your comments. Councillor Duffy, you know, I don't think our job titles, seriously, our professions have anything to do with this vote. So again, I don't know, you know, why that was necessary. I know just, you know, not too long ago, you voted against something that planning board recommended. And you, I think, even made a joke about it when you stood up and said that. So again, it happens, okay? It happens to us, to you, to everybody. Anyways, so again, I'm not trying to derail anything. Everyone knows where I stood on this from the get-go. I asked a lot of questions. I still have probably more questions with regards to this. I mean, I asked questions in a closed session where I couldn't get definitive answers with respect to a 10-year plan and how things could change and numbers can fluctuate. So again, one of the big reasons too was, you know, for me, talking about, you know, we're coming out of COVID. We have local businesses who continue to not, they're such a big part of our fabric, if you will, in Charlottetown. We have some big dealerships here that have done this for years. We've had the tender process and it's been successful. You have these companies who are, you know, donating to charities to golf tournaments to children's hockey. I mean, I don't think I've ever been to a rink or a game where I haven't seen either a team or children's jersey sponsored by these companies. And again, I don't know, I'm a big believer of supporting local. I always have been a big believer of supporting local. We're coming out of a pandemic where, these companies struggled as well. I mean, getting inventory in and stuff. And, it doesn't have to be complicated for me. It's kind of really dumbing it down to say that, again, I'm not saying that the program doesn't have merit. I'm not saying, the stuff that Councillor Bernard and Councillor Duffy of Finance have said aren't all true. I'm certain there's parts of it that are absolutely right. There's parts that I still question. But again, for me, I've said all along that, the car dealerships, the car associations, such a big part of what our city is and have been for years. And that's kind of where I stood. So I still have some questions. I'm not saying that there isn't validity to all the things being said on the other side. That's where it stands for me. Thank you.
Councillor Yankoff?
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is a rationale that we're supposed to have to give tonight, but in respect to Councillor Duffy, my rationale was really simple. We had a legal opinion. Legal opinion concluded that process was not followed. And to echo what Councillor McCabe said, process is what it's all about. We must follow process. And right from the onset, I have had many questions. And as Councillor Rivard said, yes, there are probably good points to fleet management, but at this point, I will continue to support what the Finance Committee's recommendation was, and that was that process was not followed, so we should start the process again. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Process was not followed. Isn't that a great one tonight? What was the process that wasn't followed? Finance didn't make a recommendation. They put it off to Public Works. Public Works did the work and come back. So you know what? The lawyer says you didn't follow, bring it back to Finance. The information doesn't change, folks. It's the same information. Proper procedure, Finance makes a recommendation. That's why we're here tonight. None of the information changed. So to say that, they didn't follow proper process, so I'm going to vote against it. So that's a poor excuse, real poor excuse. You have the sheet in your ponders. The last 2 years, we have Summerside Chrysler Dodge is the only company bidding on our vehicles, bidding on our trucks. One bidder. And all the bids are in your packets over the last number of years. And then we have the estimates over the next 10 years. The estimated will save $1.5 million. So the vehicles are going through, like Farrell Ford just got 13 of them. They put in their markup anywhere from $200 to $2,000. They pick it. So they gave their markup. Vehicles arrive. We pay to get it road ready, whether it's registration, MVI, we pay all those fees. So they're making money. Where do we get it repaired? It needs repairs or warranty work at these facilities. I really don't know what I'm missing, but I'll tell you what. Like I say, the only thing I can say is I'm not sure the people who put me in office is who I represent. So anyway, thank you.
Councillor Duffy, then Councillor Yankoff.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's a typical case in point here tonight. We've heard various input, but everybody's missing the fact that it says responsibility to make informed decisions in accordance with the Act. Where in the Act, the MGA, do you find a buy local? It's not in the Municipality Act. These are all missing. The progress thing, it's not. You got to get something out of the Act to support your reason or your rationale for your vote. You just can't say, well, it's Monday night, and if the rest of the week go, maybe I'll just take it easy and just ride on whatever somebody else says. No, it doesn't work that way. You've got to in accordance with the Act, and I haven't heard from the other people yet either. So.
Councillor Yankoff, then Councillor Rivard. Okay, you have to. Bobby, it's not showing, Counselor Duran, Counselor Duran, why don't you go right now, because it's not showing, no, go.
I don't know what you're looking at me for.
Anyways, Counselor Yankoff, please get up.
I'm good for now, thanks.
Barrett.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Duffy, again, without getting into details, like I said, I think some of the stuff, I just disagree with some of the numbers that were provided. Again, we've been through this 8 times. I've asked a ton of questions. I don't fully agree with exactly what the numbers are showing, okay? I asked a lot of questions in the session, didn't get definitive answers, but that's okay. But again, I just want to go back to just one quick thing. Councillor Bernard, and you've been great tonight, very respectful. So you talked about one tender being, what was it, Summerside Chrysler? You said one person was bidding on vehicles. You said yeah, in 2021. So in June 28, 2021, there was, it says additional purchase as per RFQ September 24th awarded to Centennial Nissan for $26,000. There's electric vehicle purchase that was awarded to all EVPEI. The thing I think, there's 2 more here. Fleet management, there was a Summerside Chrysler Dodge, which you're alluding to. But I think what we're missing here is that, I think what we're being told is that this was public works only. So again, we have other vehicles purchased through Park and Rec, through other departments, and right. So So there was actually in the last 3 or 4 years, there's actually been 6 companies on the island that have been bidding on these projects. All EVPEI, Centennial Nissan Charlottetown, Fair Isle Ford, Hillside Motors, Reliable Motors, and Summerside Chrysler Dodge. So, what's that? Just for all vehicles. Oh, listen, I'm just talking about, we're talking about fleet management is for the city with all fleet, not just trucks. Right?
Hey,
No, but we talked about.
Counselor Bernard, you have to use your mic, but we can't hear it.
No, but, sorry, we talked here tonight that we had recommendations from Park and Rec and everything else. So the vehicles, the fleet management's for all vehicles in the city. So I guess, again, going back to if you want accurate information, we've actually received quotes from and dealt with 6 different vendors. So it is local. We are supporting. I'm not saying the vast majority isn't through or trucks or whatever. I'm just saying that there are 6 companies that we have dealt with over the last 4 years, which, again, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I don't know if the manager wants to make comment or not. I mean, to me, it's if we want to continue to pay like $15,000 more per vehicle, then just get rid of the program.
Counselor Ramsey?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I sit on finance also, and ever since this started, as we said, 8 months ago, or 8 times we talked about it, or anything along that line, the 2 big selling points to me personally was the money we're going to save every year, plus the contract was the number one thing. That if the wheels fell off either side, from the city's side or from Enterprise, we can get out of it in 30 days. And those are the biggest things that sold me in this program, and that's my version of it.
Okay. Deputy Mayor, and then, yep.
Okay, so, okay. Yeah, no, thank you. And one of the questions that I had as this process unfolded, I fail to see why we even need this fleet company. I think, we talk about increasing the fuel economy and reducing the maintenance. If we want to do that, this council can put a resolution on the floor that we flip the vehicles every 24 months or every 30 or 40,000 kilometers. We don't need to pay a fleet management company to do that for us. That's where we think we're getting some of these savings. We have the power in here to do this, and I'll go back to a comment earlier. Yes, sure, it was recommended through the FCM, but if this deal is so good, why isn't every municipality across Canada participating in it? We still haven't got any answer to that. And nobody seems to want to jump on board and say, you know what, we'll control our own fate, and we'll control when the vehicles get turned over. We already established we have a fleet manager on staff here. It's not that difficult. We put a spreadsheet together and we track it. And if you want to flip them quicker, then flip them. But to pay a company to do it for you, the sole source, I don't understand that logic. Thank you, Worship.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Just to answer, I guess, Councillor Cody's, if I may, I think Public Works has a person on staff, but they wouldn't be able to provide the numbers that a fleet management company would be able to provide. Or would we be able to flip a vehicle as fast as what a fleet management, because that's what they do, right? They're in the game. We're not auto dealers. We're not about to, we don't know who to go to, right? We just advertise somehow, oh, we got a car for sale, and you wait months and months and months, and it loses value before we actually get a buyer, right? But anyway, my main question here really is, this is pretty important. So we've had a lawyer that told us the process wasn't followed. I'm here to stand here tonight and say I don't think process is being followed right now either. Like, finance finally did make their decision, but I'm not so sure we're supposed to just take that opinion over Public Works' opinion. Like, we've got two committees now that are disagreeing. I ask, why don't we defer this and let both departments get together, nail out what was wrong from the finance aspect, and Public Works answer those questions. And then I would be there to vote on this. I just think it's a big deal. There's a lot of potential savings. I know there's the dealership side of it, but let's include all that, right? Let's make sure that, you know, we're not saying, I guess, that that dealers aren't getting a piece of the pie. They are, but are they getting 30,000 or are they getting 1,000 or 2,000 because of the less service that they have to provide? So I just think I'll put a motion on the floor to defer this until both departments can get together and make sure that we come out of it unified and the council has the proper information from them. We've heard from different councils that they still have questions. Well, since the two departments now are not getting together, why don't we ask them to get together and solve our problem? And then we can go with a clear mind. That's
Okay.
I would put that
Donna,
motion on the floor.
Donna, so is that legitimate
Well, Your
deferral because we've looked at the legal response from Cox Palmer, specifically David Hooley, and I think this is now following process. So I think that any expenditures falls to the Finance and Properties Committee, and they make a recommendation to council. Am I wrong there?
I believe that we are following process and that the process has been followed to date, and the time is, it's here on the floor for council to make the decision. Councillor McLeod, the staff at both levels have been working together. You'll note that was report that was in there was from the two Stephen from the two different departments. I wasn't aware that there were any questions that weren't answered. It seemed to me they covered the waterfront pretty well.
Okay.
So I do believe process was followed here.
Councillor McLeod,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, right now it's 7:30, we still have 3 reports left.
Yep.
Anyways,
So
go ahead.
I'll make it quick.
Go ahead.
So for that very reason is the reason why I'm saying we should defer this. Like, have questions on the floor here tonight from council that they're not clear on things. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. And I'm just saying, I'm not prepared to make a decision if we're not 100% one way or the other. I mean, we got two committees that are disagreeing.
Yeah, but
So why are we voting?
Yeah.
Why don't the two, and let both departments come together and then give us, you know, with the other questions that finance has. Evidently, finance has issues. It's not really 100% clear what their issues are, but they have issues. So why don't the two committees get together and clear that air up before we have to vote?
so
Thank
as
you.
our CAO said in your report, it was a collaboration with Steve Wedlock and Steve McFadgen, correct? Okay, so that's the two departments working together, and that's what's in our package. So that's what we're voting on tonight. Okay, Councillor Yankoff had her hand up.
Sorry.
You're going to go, you're saying that it's legit to go with the deferral? Okay. Deferral's on the floor. Okay, just one second. Councillor Duffy has seconded the deferral. So we're just speaking to the deferral. Councillor Yankoff, you're first. Okay. Councillor Rivard,
Thank you, Your Worship.
you're speaking to the deferral.
Yeah, just, I'm not sure, I guess I'm not sure why we're deferring it, and no disrespect, Councillor McLeod, no matter what committee recommends, whatever they recommend, I mean, ultimately it comes down to 9, 10, whatever the votes are in this room. So it doesn't matter, I mean, finance is not, and I think Councillor Cody alluded to this, we're not dictating anything. We're simply saying that 3 of the finance members were opposed, 2 were for it. Happens in planning, happens in any where you don't have, you know, full full support from the committee members. So I mean, ultimately, we're here to vote on something. All 9 of us have an opinion in this room, and we voiced it. Unless there's something I'm missing. Again, when it comes to this and the whole deferral and this whole program, I'm guessing the answer is somewhere in the middle. I'm guessing that everyone's concerns are valid. I think the information that we've had shared with us is valid. I'm not disputing any of it. I'm just thinking that the number probably sits in the middle somewhere. Anyways, that's all I'm asking is.
Okay, Councillor Bernard, did you have your, just put your mic on?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I kind of agree. We've been at this. This is the 8th time we've met. All the questions and answers are in the package. I'm not sure. I mean, people have their minds made up that they don't want the program. They're going to vote. I don't see anything change it. I think we've had finance manager, we've had the controller, we've had the fleet manager, we've had the public works manager. We've asked all those questions. We still come back. Some people say they don't understand it or they don't. You know, but I don't think it's to defer it now. Councillor McLeod, I'm not sure it's going to solve anything. It's,
Okay,
like I said, it's
Councillor.
the 8th time we've met.
Okay, Councillor McLeod, can you sum up? Yeah, I know, but he wanted to respond first, and then Councillor Duffy. You're on.
There you go. Thank you very much, Your Worship, Councillor Berry, for your comments. Again, just to follow up, you were one of the ones that said you still got questions, right? So, you know, it kind of gives me the feeling that, you know what, maybe is there something missing? Who knows? But I just think that, you know, when you get to, usually it's one committee, right, that we rely on. In this case, it's 2. And we got 2 opposite opinions, and here we are trying to make a decision. So I just would feel more comfortable if both departments could either get on board together or get off together and then come to council with a resolution. That's all. That's just the way I'm thinking, and you know, it's too bad because you know, it's becoming a political thing, and it shouldn't, right? We're getting close to election time, and I think people are running scared, and they don't want to vote. I don't want to do this, and it's too bad, because this should have been dealt with months and months ago, because we've had 8 meetings on it. And I just feel that we've got 8, let's go 9. Thank you.
Councillor Duffy.
Make it quick, Your Worship. I don't think there's any problem with the 2 departments. I think the 2 departments are getting along splendidly. They're all in 100% agreement with each other, all 3 or 4 departments, the senior management and the managers of each department. I think the problem is here. Some people in this room are not listening to the staff, the staff in the departments. They're confused. I was talking to one senior staff person, and he said, finally, something has come along here, a program where we can be on top of things, and when things start to become a liability. After they've been an asset for a while, we can finally get rid of them and be on top of the game and save some money and whatever. But there's some people in this room don't seem to agree, and maybe they agree with that, but there's other things. So I think if we could defer it, as Councillor McLeod says, and have the staff and the 2 committees in this room come together, then we could find out what each other are thinking and where it's coming from. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor Rivera, let's wrap it up, please.
Yeah. So I'll be okay with the deferral under one circumstance, and then I've asked for it before. It was never something we did, but I would love to have the 2 parties. I'm not talking the committees. I'm talking enterprise and the association in the same room to ask the questions to, and have the answers bounce off and have them dispute for I can get the truth. Every time I've asked for that, it's been that committees have run and report it back, and they report over here, and they report over here, and we're getting pieces. So if we're going to defer, then the only way I'm willing to defer is if a representative from the association is here and a representative for Enterprise is here, and we can have those conversations, and then the association can ask Enterprise some questions and vice versa, and then we can hear the full truth. And then we can make an educated decision, but it's the only way I'm deferring.
Okay. So, we ready to vote? Question? Go ahead.
I would be okay with that. I was just going to say that I believe, I mean, that works out to get everybody in a room and get all the answers, but my understanding is that the fleet manager had met with the Automobile Dealers Association one-on-one and answered all their questions, and then they said if you had any more, just by all means get a hold of me. But you know what, if you want to do this, take one more stab at it, Chair.
Okay. Questions called? Questions been called? All those in favor of the deferral, please raise your...
With the meeting between the two sides.
I think, Donna, have you put that down? That you would have representatives from Enterprise Fleet Management and the Prince Edward Island Automobile Dealers Association? Is that correct? Yes. Okay, all those in favor of the deferral with the addition of inviting Enterprise Fleet Management and the Prince Edward Island Automobile Dealers Association. Please raise your hand. All in the deferral. Okay, 9-0 for the deferral. Okay. No, I guess we can do it. Yeah, Human Resources. Thank you, Nancy. Councillor Yankoff, your report. I think it's a good report, as always.
Thank you. Whew, marathon. So, thank you, everyone. The Human Resource Communications and Administrative Committee met on July 5th. The minutes from the package, from our meeting are in the package. You'll see there are 2 resolutions for council's consideration. And before we read the resolutions, the only thing I would want to point out, and I'm sure you've already read it in the minutes, is I encourage everyone to visit charlottetownhall.ca, where you will find the beginnings of some pretty amazing information, everything from our strategic plan to future projects to the official plan, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just encouraging everyone to visit that site. And other than that, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe and Councillor Duffy. Those are the red lights on.
I'm hoping that's alphabetical order, or I jumped on top of you, Councillor Duffy. Sorry. Thank you. And I just wanted to, I had it in my notes to comment in HR tonight about comms, but to Councillor McLeod kind of got ahead of me about some better ways to get communication happening within our city. And I know we've talked, and CAO Donna and I have talked about, our snow alerts we can plug in, people can access, but really important if specific wards could be able to plug in, so anything impacting each area that they would be able to gather some information. So if we could talk about that at your next committee or start a process around how to better get that information out. It just saves so much. It puts us proactive rather than reactive. So that was my comment.
Councillor
Thank
Yankoff?
you.
Duly noted. Thank you. And we will do that.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Worship. I guess this is a poor night to be looking for favors, but
Oh, no. Just put it on the floor. Put it on the floor.
Your Worship, I'll make this quick. Councillor Yankoff, I have a bit of a dilemma. Yeah, I have, and all I want to do is read something from the MGA. Everybody loves getting excerpts from the MGA, and it's number 123.
Section 123.
Yeah, mode of exercise of powers of council. And it says the powers of a council shall only be exercised by either a bylaw or a resolution. That's the only way you can act. The problem I have is back in April, we remember that we were dealing with, it was April 25th, a meeting, a closed meeting, where we dealt with an individual who has been an issue with us. And 2 or 3 days after that meeting, it was in the paper where this individual was speaking to the Minister of Fisheries and Communities. And, and the individual further recommend that the individual comply, and this is the minister speaking, by the way. I further recommend that the individual comply in full with sanctions imposed by the council on July the 12th of 2021, specifically to apologize to council and to participate as a member of the Planning and Heritage Committee, the minister wrote. The individual said he doesn't need an independent lawyer. I don't have to now because the matter is closed. The individual said, adding that he won't be attending planning board meetings, so he's fairly brazen. My question is to you is I've been hounding our poor documents clerk over there for a copy of the resolutions for that action in that meeting, and I've been told by the clerk that there is none, which leads me to think that it was done on with consensus only, not with a vote. Is that true? The resolution? But the reason I need it is people are asking me, what's going on with this issue? Like, this is 65 out of 67 meetings this person has missed. And people keep asking me, and I have to keep saying, well, I'm chasing for the resolution. Then it suddenly dawns on me, there was no resolution. It must have been a consensus. So I'm asking you as the chair, Councillor Yankoff, could you put it on the Human Resource Committee to re-look at the issue and have resolutions or a resolution or whatever, because I have to tell these people something concrete. And this individual has been getting away with murder, and we know that, but I'm not going to go into that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's not a very nice statement to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not, can I speak to that?
Sure you can.
You know, I'm sitting here, I mean, 65 out of 67 meetings, I've sat with you on numerous police meetings. You bring the person's family up, you bring it up in court, or up in council here. It's basically borderline harassment of what you're doing to this person. And of all people, you're quoting the code of conduct. If this council would have took the code of conduct against yourself, you would be in danger of a violation. So I just don't understand. We're here at the last hour, and every meeting, you keep this going, you keep this going. I just don't understand it. Attack him, attack his family, you know, it's just constant. And your worship, you're in many meetings with me, and you hear it. I just don't understand where you're going with this. And you keep saying there's people asking me. Like what? There's numerous buildings in Charlottetown that are vacant, that needed boarding up, but you keep going back to University Avenue. You know, I can go down to numerous roads, numerous buildings. I just can't understand why the constant barrage on this fellow councillor. You know, we've done things in this council, we've let it go, we've moved on. Let's go into the business of the city, not of trying to catch or punish another harassment to another councillor. I find it disrespectful, and to say a fellow councillor is getting away with murder, I ask to take that back. That is not a very good statement to say in this chamber. Very disrespectful, Councillor Duffy.
Councillor Duffy, he has asked you to take that back.
I apologize, Councillor Durand.
Thank you very much, Councillor Duffy. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and do you want to respond to his question, Councillor Yankoff? Could you just, you have to turn on your.
I think I would defer to our CAO on that to ensure that if this is something that needs to go back on an agenda item, I would like to defer to make sure that it is, again, proper process.
But, Donna? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I'll
But
take a look at it.
Councillor Yankoff, I do want to say that we have 2 contracts here that will be forwarded for a vote tonight. UPSI, which was being negotiated since 2019? And yeah, and then you have a resolution here for the APA, which is, that'll take us from 2021 to 2025. So thank you for finally bringing, and I believe these are the last 2 unions right? We have more?
I worked really hard on these ones.
No. But it's the people that work with human resources that brought it to the committee. So I give them credit also. What's
Fire.
outstanding?
Fire, Your Worship.
Oh, yes, fire. Okay, that's it.
So you're saying there's still one contract?
International Association of Firefighters of Canada.
I mean, so this
Yes.
brings us right up to the one left.
Okay.
Excellent.
So Donna, do you want to read the resolution?
With pleasure. Moved by Councillor Jankoff and seconded by Deputy Mayor Jason Cody, that the City of Charlottetown accept the draft Union of Public Sector Employees, UPSI, collective agreement, January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2024, as per the attached documents, effective July 11th, 2022.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0.
Moved by Councillor Jankoff and seconded by Deputy Mayor Cody, that the City of Charlottetown accept the draft Atlantic Police Association, APA, collective agreement, January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2025, as per the attached documents, effective July 11th, 2022.
Councilor Ramsey has called the question. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0. Okay. Councilor Yankoff, that's it? That is it. My God, thank you very much. Next report is, I believe, Protective and Emergency Services Committee report. Councilor Rivard, 3 new police officers sworn in tonight. Man, oh man.
Yeah, it was a nice ceremony. Thanks for the councillors that were able to make it. And I thought it went well. I thought the police officers were quite proud, and their families looked pretty proud. So, welcome aboard. Protective Services Emergency Services Committee met on June 28, 2022. Minutes are in your package. Thank you to Councillor Ramsey for pinch hitting for me as chair of that meeting, because I couldn't make it. There are 3 resolutions for your consideration tonight. As always, any questions? I'll be happy to answer, and if not, then we have the chief here to answer them. Thank you.
Any questions? None? Well, you get both chiefs here. Okay. Okay, Donna, do you want to?
Your Worship, moved by Councillor Rivard and second.
Okay, Councilor Ramsey?
And seconded by Councillor Ramsey, that the Public Works Manager be authorized to cut grass, remove any garbage and other materials or debris, clean up and properly dispose of same at the owner's expense at the following properties located at 54 West Hill Drive, PID number 589754, 55 West Ridge Crescent, PID number 794685, 203 Patterson Drive, PID number 610477, 108 Scarlett Avenue, PID number 520544, 31 Kirkwood Drive, PID number 370841, 21 Barrymore Court, PID number 515080, 80 Massey Drive, PID number 777508, 599 Queen Street, PID number 746321, 594 Queen Street, PID number 777680, 596 Queen Street, PID number 777680, 38 Valley Street, PID number 358515, 357 Queen Street, PID number 356493, 50 Holmes Lane, PID number 1132752, 224 East Royalty Road, PID number 192484, 38 Passmore Street, PID number 360834, and 89 Heather Avenue, PID number 574863.
Covered a lot of homes there.
Just a point of order, just so for the minutes, it was actually 38 Passmore Street, or 39, not 38.
Sorry.
That's okay, I just was worried it would be on the minutes, and then some poor person from 38 Passmore's listening to this wondering what the heck's going on.
Yes, but yes, in the resolution is 39, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Question called? Questions called? Oh, good, go ahead. You got the red light on. Keep bringing on that red light. Red light,
Worship, I
red
just
light.
want to go back, I think a few years ago. So these are mostly grass cutting, I assume, lot for long grass. So once this goes through the resolution, you don't have to come back each time. Like within 3 weeks again, if the grass is really long, we can just send the crew out, correct? So I believe we changed that a few years ago. 2 years ago?
We can check in.
Ken?
Good for 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. Can we,
On these properties
Yeah.
on properties that have been named,
yeah, we'll get
keep us
it,
from coming back, I believe.
yeah. We'll get it verified. Okay,
Yep.
through your committee,
Yep, and bring it back.
all right?
Yeah, I think Councillor Cody's right. I think it is 2 years.
Yeah.
Chief, can you confirm that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't completely.
The resolution that's passed for the unsightly premises, once we approve it and we go in and do the work, if they're repeat offenders, if you will, that we can go in without having to pass a resolution for up to 2 years?
We'll confirm it.
We'll confirm, but that is my understanding.
Yeah, we'll get it confirmed, and that'll be put in the minutes.
Yep.
Okay, so, questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. 9-0, Donna.
Moved by Councillor Rivard and seconded by Councillor Ramsay, that the Public Works Manager be authorized to remove 2 derelict vehicles as determined under dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly bylaw by definition at the owner's expense on property located at 89 Heather Avenue in accordance with the terms of the dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly bylaw of the City of Charlottetown.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay.
That the
9-0.
Public Works Manager be authorized to cut grass, remove any garbage and other materials or debris, clean up and properly dispose of same, and that the city will be in-kind responsible for the expenses at 20 Beach Street, PID number 790204, in accordance with the terms of the dangerous, hazardous, and unsightly bylaw of the City of Charlottetown.
Councillor Yankoff had her red light on. Could you please ask?
I know we've had a few others come up like this before. I'm just wondering what road we're going down in terms of in-kind cleanup for various streets. Is there a backstory to this? And if there is, I don't see a report on it. Thank you.
Councillor Rivard, can you
I'm not
respond?
familiar either. I'm going to kind of hand it off to the chief and catch him by surprise here.
Chief, can you just take the mic and put it in, because it feeds into YouTube?
Yes, Your Worship. Again, it's difficult hearing out there, so if you could pose the question again.
I just wondered why we were doing in-kind cleanup for this particular property. And I know these has come up in others before, and I'm just assuming if there's a backstory, there should be a report that goes with it for us to decide why it is we're paying for this, whereas others are expected to cover the expenses themselves.
I'm sorry, and the property again is
Beach Street.
Peak Street. You know what, I'm going to have to defer to my bylaw officer and get back to you as to why that,
I'm going to ask the Chair of Public Works, could you please
Thank you
provide
very
some
much.
background?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Thank you very much for your questions. Yeah, so resident on Beach Street has an issue with somebody staying at the back of their yard, and the issue is whether or not the property line, whether or not they're on the residence or is it solely on the city. So through the bylaw officer, I've been working with him and the resident to try and get this person removed because he has done some damage to the property and whatnot. So at the end of the day, the police department or bylaw officer felt that because he's so close to the property line and that we have a policy and bylaw that says we can't encroach private property, the only power in here in the city that can do that is council. So that's the purpose why it's here, is to have this person removed. And I guess the second question would be, when you're answering the question about the 2-year continuation, is this going to be, will we have the same answers for this one as well? Like, because I can see this being a recurring problem as well. So, anyway, if you want to respond to that, Chief, you're more than welcome. If not, I understand.
Let him.
Yeah, I think it's something we'd have to get some clarity on from our legal counsel on, and if that is the same circumstances. We're seeing a number of these similar circumstances across our city, unfortunately. And we're forced to deal with them. Our bylaw officer is busy dealing with these challenging circumstances. And again, a lot of times it's no fault of the property owner, and they're looking for some support from the city.
Councillor Yankoff, and then Councillor Duffy, and then Councillor
Sure.
Rivard.
And just as a follow-up, now that I have an explanation, I'm happy to support this, but I do ask that in the future, there should be a report when we're going an exception of the bylaw, there should be a report that goes with it so that we as councillors understand why we are voting in such a way that is not in accordance to our bylaw. Okay, thank you.
Point taken. Councillor Duffy, and then Councillor Rivard.
Your worship, I was there early this morning on this site, and it was cleaned up. The work's done. I don't know who did it. He started Saturday afternoon, and it was done this morning. It's right, it's behind the parking lot.
Oh, I know where it is.
Dental clinic there. So but I guess the staff should attend now that it's been passed.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know who did it.
Yeah. Councillor Rivard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would be a little bit cautious on leaving in-kind resolutions open for a period of time, only just because they're in-kind. Other ones are different. So I'd say the in-kind is a case-by-case, I would recommend, versus the other resolutions where, just my thoughts.
Well, we can pass this. I know in the past we've had resolutions done in the past and things were already done, so. Okay. You might as well, just in case. Yes, we have to. Okay, question called? All those in favor? Okay. 9-0. Donna, do you have anything else?
Not for this committee, Your
Yeah.
Worship.
So we're coming up to 8 o'clock, so we need a majority vote, not a unanimous vote, to continue on. We have 2 reports left. Well, council advisor, I don't think there's much. So we can take a vote now for 15 more minutes. Can we get a vote? Who wants to stay on for, please, just raise your hand. Okay, 15 minutes. Okay, the next report is Parks and Recreation, Councillor. Is it council advisory? Do you have a, okay, council advisory?
Quick, I mean, Council Advisory Committee has not met since the last meeting, and I don't anticipate we'll be meeting again until after the election. There are no subject matters to be discussed.
I think there's something
There is
in,
something.
yeah, there's something in from the, yes, yes.
What is it?
Well,
I'm
we'll
the chair
talk,
of the
we'll
committee.
talk about it.
I'm the chair of the committee.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
well,
I know?
No, it'll be coming to you.
Okay, well, I take that all back except for that we did not meet since the last council meeting.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer, but I likely don't have the answers.
Your Worship, this has nothing to do with CAC, but stop it. If let's say we didn't agree to adjourn at 8 o'clock, so when do you finish your meeting? Is it tomorrow or?
No, because we
How's
have
that work?
another second regular monthly meeting at the last Monday of every month. So
Oh, it's added on there.
that's what would be added.
Okay, no, I just wanted to know.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Bernard, your report now. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Your Worship. Your Worship, Parks Recreation Leisure activities did not meet this month, so there's no minutes in your package on that. The Seniors Engagement Committee met on June the 2nd, and the draft of those minutes are included. We do have one resolution. This did come in late. To see the City of Charlottetown looking for approval for $60,000 in partnership funding to support the 2023 Canada Host Game Society and purchasing additional modular floor system. And that the funds required will be reallocated through the 22-23 budget. So I know people haven't had a lot of time to read this, Your Worship. This arrived on our desk, I believe, just tonight. I'm not sure if some emails went out earlier or not, but I'll just read the gist of it. The city of Charlottetown was recently approached by the PEI 2023 Canada Games Host Society asking if the city would be interested in contributing $60,000 in partnership funding towards the cost of purchasing a modular sports floor system. The host society will be purchasing a section of the modular sports floor system, as will the East Link Center, Your Worship. So by us contributing to this, we'll be able to cover the whole floor, the whole ice surface with a sports floor. So this will, this additional flooring would enable the rink service to be used during off-season for sporting events, activities such as volleyball, badminton, indoor tennis, basketball, pickleball. So, Your Worship, this can be used inside and outside. And we're also thinking for the new replacement for Simmons Arena that we were looking to have a lot of sports going on year-round. So this particular flooring, we could basically get it for half price. So we're asking council for approval for the $60,000 to move towards that purchase.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Councillor McLeod.
Good, thank you very much. Thanks for your report, Councillor Mary. Just to confirm, this is the saying that we got the email on today,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes, it
okay,
is.
good, thank
Yeah.
you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the emails got there, but or not, so I just thought decided to read it out. Thanks.
This, the emails, Your Worship, went to the Parks and Recreation Committee, and it went to the Finance Committee for review before coming here. So we have the recommendations of both committees to bring it to the floor here.
So, Councillor Bernard, could I just say one thing? I just want to recognize Martin Sobey, who is the son of Councillor Yankoff, will be representing Canada at the Commonwealth Games, at the end of July in England. The sport, as you know what he is, he's a triathlon athlete, and he's presently ranked second in the country.
Oh, wow.
And there are 3 males representing Canada. He's the only Islander or Atlantic Canadian representing this region. So a big congratulations to Martin, and good luck to him. Because the Commonwealth Games, it's all the Commonwealth countries, but kudos to him and the triathlon, it's, I think, 2-mile swim, 100-mile bike, and a marathon run.
Marathon. That's an Ironman. It's 1-mile swim, 10K run. Oh God, sometimes there's sprints. I don't remember. 50? I don't remember.
Anyways,
I'm just the
so-
mother of the year. That's all. That's all I am. He's the athlete. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Brevard?
That's amazing, Councillor Yankoff. Was that part of the resolution for the floor? Is he running on these mats?
We'll go right to the resolution. Donna, can you read it, please?
Moved by Councillor Bernard and seconded by Deputy Mayor Cody, that the City of Charlottetown approve $60,000 in partnership funding to support the 2023 Canada Games Host Society in purchasing additional modular sports flooring system, and that the required funds be reallocated from the 2022-23 capital budget.
Questions called. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, those against, 9-0. Okay, Councillor Bernard, that's it. Thank you, sir. Water and wastewater, Councillor Bob Duran.
Thank you, Worship. The Water and Sewer Utility Committee met on June 16th, and the minutes are included in your package. We don't have any resolutions for you this month, but our manager would like to say and remind residents that the seasonal water use restrictions are in place, and he'd also like to thank them for being involved in this and not wasting water as best you can. So a big shout out to our residents from our manager and from our council. So if anyone has any questions, I'll answer them as best I can. Thank you.
Oh, there's Richard. Oh, Richard, good to see you. Okay.
I have a quick
Yes, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. And with Councilor Duran's permission, I'll ask the question and perhaps to, refer it to our manager, if that's okay. So do you remember when we had the initiative to register for the non-paper water bill? Remember that initiative? Yeah. So I was one of the first people to do that, and I've yet to ever get an email. So instead, I wouldn't have brought this up just because it was about me, but when other residents have been going through the same thing, I instead get a statement that my bill is overdue, and then I go and pay it because I've yet to ever receive an email. And I was the first, probably one of the first people to sign up. And I've now had since then, I mean, I'm happy to go pay my statement when I get the reminder, but other residents are getting the same thing. I've gone through my junk, they've gone through their junk, they're not seeing it. So I'm not sure what's happening, but if we could just check that out, because if it's happening to me and a few others, I dare say there's others out there, you know, not getting their water bill paid on time.
It's happened to Lori Devine and Philip Brown. It's happened to many others who phoned and
Okay.
emailed.
Yep,
Richard?
so, yep.
Councillor Duran, do you want him to answer to that or just take that under advice?
No. No, thank you. This mic is live, I understand, so thank you very much for bringing that forward. I've also signed up. I do receive the notices, but absolutely, if we have customers who are not receiving this service via email or text, I will follow up with our finance staff and ensure that. And if residents are having challenges with that, very important for them to bring it forward to us so we can address it. And I greatly appreciate you bringing that forward. This is certainly an initiative that we want to go smoothly and to roll out and will be great for our residents. And I've heard back from many that it is working for and they're very happy with it. So greatly appreciate you bringing forward concerns, and we will look into that. And apologies for you not receiving your bill. Absolutely, as the manager of water and sewer, I want people to receive their bills on time.
You'll take care of the interest, Richard?
The interest, so I mean, if it is, so on that point, typically, under the MGA, we cannot waive any fees unless there has been an error on our side.
Oh, come on,
So,
Richard,
so
come
we will,
on.
we will review, and if we have been in error, then that is an expense that we can waive.
Lori Devine's going to be calling you.
Thank you very much, council, and apologies.
So we need a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Listen, thank you very much. Thank you, and have a great evening. Guess I won't be going to the doors.